You're listening to KEHR, 50,000 watts, broadcasting worldwide from sunny Southern California. ExtremeHealthRadio.com. This is Chief BioPappy signing off. Over and out.
Hey, this is Dr. Jockers from drjockers.com. And just want to let everybody know, I really love listening to Justin and Kate on Extreme Health Radio. It's an awesome show, great guests, and they just have really, really great topics. And so this is a show for everybody. So you're going to really love this show and hope you plug in regularly.
Well, it's been so long. I feel like it's been 2-3 weeks since we've been on the air, actually.
Feels like it. I'm just really curious to see if you're going to be able to get the date right today.
Yeah, actually.
Feels like it. I'm just really curious to see if you're going to be able to get the date right today.
See, look at that. I forgot to turn down the thing. And of course, it's like I haven't been on the air for so long. I have no idea what I'm doing anymore. This is crazy.
I'd hate to see what you're like trying to ride a bike.
I know, right?
As long as I'm not on the back, I'm okay with that.
What did you say before?
I'm just curious if you're going to get the date right, because you usually have a little bit of an issue getting it day to day, and we haven't been on since Monday. So
get this. You ready for it?
Okay.
Wait for it. Friday, November 7th, 2014.
What?
Episode 339.
Just rolled off the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Shocked.
Sweet sassy blasted.
Shocked and amazed.
Shocked and surprised.
You surprised me, Stellman.
Yeah, it has been a while. Who did we have on Monday? We had, who do we have on Monday?
Laura Shanley.
Laura Shanley, that's right.
Yep.
That was a good show.
It was a great show.
Yeah,
Unassisted childbirth. Still trying to wrap my mind around what that actually means and if I would actually go that route. But man, packed full of information. And every time you have a discussion like that, though, you just feel a little bit more empowered, whether or not it's something I'd actually do in real life. I just feel like I have the pieces to be able to make a better decision.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how just having the knowledge that people are doing certain things allows you to be able to make a fully more formed decision, and allows you to look at the potential of what is actually possible. I mean, that's pretty amazing what she did. 4 kids.
Right?
4 kids unassisted at home.
Right.
Is that right?
4,
All
yeah.
4, right? She didn't have any. She had one complication, I think. One of her children, one of her babies was breached. But it sounds like she was able to get through that. Is that why? That's so weird. If there's a breached baby in the hospital, I guess it's always C-section, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would assume. I mean, unless the baby just came out so fast that they're, basically like catching a football. I mean, you can't stop a baby whose time has come. I mean, I would think that they whisk you away into emergency surgery. But
what's the procedure? So if it's breached, are they worried that like one leg will come out and the other one won't, and it'll get stuck? Is that what they're afraid of?
I think it's the problem with I could be wrong, but I think it's the arms. Because if your legs come out and they pull you, and your arms are going to get, either really damaged coming out, because when you come out head first, you kind of just shoot out really easy.
Okay.
But when, you might have these arms to get through the sac, and I mean, I have heard that it can cause a lot of problems, because you're going to put the baby in a compromising position where it could really do some damage to their skeletal system or their limbs.
Really?
So that's
it's
sad.
Not necessarily as much of it being stuck and not coming out as much as it is the arms, from what you've heard.
I think. I could be wrong. Someone can correct me on that, of course. But
wow.
Yeah.
Never heard of that before. So it sounds like she was able to get through it. If that were to happen, if I were a woman and that happened to me, I'd be pretty nervous.
Oh, yeah. I know, especially by yourself in your house trying to... I mean, she stayed really calm, but that would be a hard one.
It seems like that's the whole goal, isn't it? With how we deal with stress and how we deal with all these sort of circumstances in life that restrict our blood flow. It seems like the biggest thing and the best thing we can do is to breathe through it, isn't it?
Yeah, if you have the mental, I think you have to train yourself up for that. And I think in a panic situation like that, I mean, you'd have to have a lot of background in going into a really deep inner space to be able to allow yourself to stay in that, and not take action that you might regret or might not. But I just think we're so conditioned to act so fast that I think half the things are fine if you kind of let them play through, but we act a little too quickly sometimes. But
do you think there's a lot of value in being able to push through really, really difficult situations? Like just trying to think of certain situations. Like, you ever hear about the woman whose son is caught underneath the car and she lifts the car, or getting through the ability to get through a really challenging situation with, maybe not something like that, because that's more where you have to use this explosion energy and you kind of just
major fight or flight adrenaline rush. Yeah.
But I guess something where like for example, for you, when you had a shot recently, you had some blood drawn. Some people really freak out about that. Some people just go into panic mode. Or let's say you have to have an MRI, or if you choose to have an MRI, if you do that, you could really freak out, couldn't you? Or, like in the sensory deprivation tank that we went in.
Oh, yeah.
So I wonder, I assume it's a really great trait to be able to push through those things, isn't it?
I think so. I think it's the mental training. I mean, I used to be that person. I was the person who, like you said, the sensory deprivation tank to me a couple of years ago would have been just a no-go. I mean, there's no way you would have gotten me in that thing. Really? Oh, yeah. But, I mean, I grew up as that person. So look what I've been able to overcome. I mean, the fear of blood, the fear of needles, the fear of being trapped in small spaces, the fear of elevators, just all these phobias of things that I had to really work at. Otherwise, I was just going to become a kind of a reclusive hermit with some weird mental issues.
A weird hermit.
I mean, we all have them, but
do you think that if you had not taken the onus upon yourself to actually go forward and overcome those types of fears, that you would have got worse and worse and worse?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's funny because what would being afraid to go in an elevator, like what else would that translate to? It seems like that itself would get worse, but then you'd start having other really weird fears that don't make any sense,
Yeah. I can't say, but I just know that it seems that I probably would have added a couple other weird tendencies throughout every year, that I didn't have before. Because, I mean, when I look back, I didn't have much of that as a kid, and then into my teenage years I kind of had it, and then I went back out of it again, and then in my early 20s when it kind of flared back up, I mean, I kind of went in and out of these patterns. But I mean, I had a 5-year period there where I would not leave the house without my Benadryl.
Oh.
It was in my purse, it was in my pocket, it was anywhere that I went. I wouldn't even go walking outside for 5 minutes without it, in fears that I would have some sort of allergic reaction to God knows what. And I just feel like that kind of stuff really gets a hold of you. It might not be an isolated fear like an elevator or an MRI machine, like you said, a small space thing. But I think that once your mind kind of is able to easily slip into that pattern of fear, you'll start to let yourself develop a bunch of other everyday life patterns that you aren't even aware of patterns until you realize that if it was taken away from you, that it's not comfortable and you might have a panic moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Wow, that's amazing. So if, you know how we had someone wrote in, I think we shared something on our Facebook site a while back. Remember, it was I think it was the Spirit Sciences graphic, and it said the greatest, what was the quote on that? I forget what it was, but it was something about how the greatest thing in human mind, I'm going to butcher this, but just about fear. And then someone wrote back saying, well, how do we get out from underneath it?
I do remember that, yeah. How do we get out of the grasp of fear? It makes you think.
How, I mean, for someone like you've gone through an insane story. What were some of the things you used to get over your fears?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Like, was it a thing where it happened over time, gradually, or did you do lots of different things in different areas to overcome your fear? Or,
well, I can honestly say it had to be gradual, because I wasn't one of those people that just had a spontaneous healing or remission from any of this mental disease stuff.
Right.
Which I think I would call it a mental disease, because when your mind's not at ease, anything's a disease. So,
right.
Yeah, very gradual. I think the first step that I think anyone would admit with that kind of stuff is just awareness of how weird it is in your head. Because I think a lot of people that have that don't allow themselves to admit that it's weird, because no one wants to think that they have weird stuff going on in their head or that they're different than the normal, healthy population in the way that they think.
So when you were going through stuff like that, you would just say, you would almost just justify everything, and you would just say, "Oh, I'm not that weird," you know. Well,
I started out that way, but I think that's where the change happened, is the day that I woke up and said, you know, or not the day I woke up because it was gradual, but over time I realized no one wants to think they're weird, but these are very strange ways to behave. And I started to just kind of admit that wasn't quite a normal way to behave. Like, for example, I remember being at your parents' church for a Christmas Eve service, probably when we first got married or right before. And, you know, the pastor was giving the Christmas message and stuff. And I was just looking up at the ceiling. They had like these panels and they were like these cut out, you know, decorative panels, whatever. I was counting them. Counting the sides of them, counting how many there were. I was counting them backward and forward, upside down, trying to make them make sense in my head, I don't know what I was trying to do, but it was this obsessive compulsive kind of control thing. And I mean, I have countless situations that I've done that in.
Countless times where you've counted countlessly.
It's countless, really. But it was the kind of thing where after a while that tires you, because you feel like it's a game that you play in your head that you can't let go. And then you find yourself doing that with everything, like from checking the oven 1,000 times to make sure. I mean, the typical obsessive compulsive thoughts. And when you give into one, you're more likely, I believe, to give into all of them, because you just let it overtake the way that you do life, you know, and the way that you work in your head. So I think gradually I just realized I'm tired of this. I'm tired of counting things. I just want to sit there and listen. I want to pay attention to what I'm here for. I don't want the distraction. I mean, it sounds very strange, but I know a bunch of people that have suffered with this kind of a thing in their head. It really can grab a hold of you. So I think for me, it was coming to the point where I was so sick and tired of feeling that way, and I knew something had to change.
What was that movie with Jack Nicholson, and he's the obsessive compulsive guy?
Oh, is it Jack Nicholson?
Yeah, he was he was a guy that was walking along the sidewalks and he was counting all the different...
Is that As Good as It Gets? Or
it might be As Good as It Gets, yeah. Yeah, but I think about that because it must be some sort of...
What about Bob? Bill Murray, too, doesn't he?
Does he do that?
I think that movie is about that, too.
Must be some sort of control thing, you know? I think it's a way of controlling, feeling like you're manipulating your environment so that...
fake control, but...
Yeah, it's a fake control, but... Yeah, what a weird thing, huh?
It is very strange, and it's exhausting, and I think to let go takes a lot of practice. It takes doing things on a daily basis that are outside of your comfort zone that can literally form new pathways in your brain. Because, I mean, we've all heard and seen the scans about your brain. The more and more you resort and revert to that way of thinking, whether it be a negative pattern or whether it be a panic pattern or an anxiety thing, your brain actually forms those grooves. I remember being in therapy when I had anxiety really bad as a 13-year-old, and the first thing the therapist did was bust out a picture book of your brain and what your brain looks like when it's under trauma and stress, and the neural pathways that are created. And that really stood out to me. Out of anything I remember of therapy, really, that was the thing that I thought, wow, our thoughts actually have the power to create physical changes in our brain.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing.
That's heavy.
That's heavy. It's weird because your thought actually manipulates physical matter. It creates grooves and neurological pathways for things to happen and for things to occur and for nerves to fire and wire together. You know, who talks a lot about this is Dr. Joe Dispenza. We're going to have him on, I think, this coming up Thursday for a special show.
Yes, I cannot wait.
Yeah.
He is great. He's the king of talking about that and kind of breaking it down, really. You
know, when you were saying how it just became exhausting for you to do that, I've kind of had the same situation with, you know, things becoming exhausting. You know how if you know, for us, it's funny, you know, we keep talking about this, but for us, one of our challenges is somehow, for some reason, our lesson is to learn peace in a noisy environment, right?
What'd you just say? I couldn't hear you. A Harley went by.
I thought you were serious because a car did go by.
I was just kidding.
But yeah, so learning peace. And so if you're able to walk down the street and you're able to sort of interact with other people and have no judgment and no preconceived labels that you put on people, that's a powerful place to be in. That's hard to do. And when I've done that at certain times, and I'm still working on this, it's such a lifelong process.
It is a lifelong process.
But when you're able to do it, it's like letting go of your attachments to control when you have these weird fears like you had. It's the same feeling. It's like, oh my gosh, now I can just accept things for what they are. Like, Byron Katie wrote a book called Loving What Is.
Have you read it?
I've looked through it. I haven't read it yet, but it's on my list. But, and so I imagine it's a lot like that. It's just, walking down the street, interacting with people and having no judgment. And what a relief that can be. Could you imagine? It's like someone says something to you the wrong way, or someone's dressed really provocatively or not provocatively, or someone
cut you off. I mean, anything.
Yeah. And just to have no judgment is, I've been able to do this a couple times, and I work at it. But when I have been able to get close to doing that, it's such a empowering place, because you're just like, okay, I'm just here on earth for the ride. I'm
sure it's half as like, I'm sure it's
liberating.
I'm sure it's exactly the way that I've been, what I just talked about, how I kind of overcame a lot of that obsessive compulsive and anxiety ridden stuff. I'm sure it's just as good in a whole different way. Cause I was like, one more path to kind of go down now and knock that off the list, because I think altogether, though, I feel like once we kind of quote master something, or we don't really deal with it anymore, then it's like on to the next thing. If we can master another, life in general just becomes so much more free and sweet. And
what do you mean master another, like master another issue that we have in our life? Or
like you said, like striving for peace, but letting things go and really trying to unattach ourselves from judgments and things, because that is something I totally deal with. What did they say? I was listening to some Hay House podcast the other day, and I forget who was speaking, but she talked about how we make a judgment within the first 2 seconds of meeting somebody.
Wow.
Whether it's a bad judgment or a good judgment, well, we judge. That person's fat. That person's thin. That person is a nerd. That person looks really classy. That person looks rich. Yeah. I mean, any of these things, why is that girl wearing that outfit, or what, I don't resonate with this person. I mean, within the first 2 seconds, you're making those. And I mean, gosh, to be able to, I don't know how we go about creating a new neural pathway to get out of that role, but I think that's something we should ask Joe Dispenza when we have him on next Thursday. If I don't know the tools in order to do that, it's very, very, very challenging.
When you hear someone like that say that, it's funny because it becomes a self-perpetuating cycle, right? So you say, so someone like her, so she was making a judgment of us making judgments.
Who was?
That lady, whoever that lady was.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're making a judgment based on what she said. So, like she said, within the first, 2 minutes of meeting someone, you make a judgment. And I'm not sure if the insinuation was that that's bad, but that itself could be a judgment. You know what I mean? So it's just like, okay, so you listen to someone like that, and the idea of putting this stuff into practice is just to be like, okay, we make judgments of people, and that's just what it is. And so I'm going to do my best to, think about all the drama. There would be no TV, there'd be no television, there'd be no petty high school fights, there'd be no
magazines, no articles. I mean, we wouldn't be talking about any of this.
Yeah, like almost 100% of everything that you see on magazines and newspapers and articles is it's not even news. It's more just someone's opinion or judgment about something, and then they're writing a whole article, and then they inflame a bunch of other people who read it. It's a wild thing. Humans are so weird.
So weird.
We're so weird like that. We're just addicted to this constant drama that we make up with labeling things. Or if it's not just, imagine the person who labels things and, hasn't really taken stock or ownership of their own psyche, of their own, emotional makeup. And then on top of that, this is probably how you were when you were young. On top of that, you have all these fears and stuff like that. So you're, imagine the difficulty it is just to get through a day for some people. Well,
what's interesting is our friend LaShonda Green, who we've had on the show. Do you know what episode she was?
I don't. In the 200s, I think.
Okay, we'll post a link to her show. But I had the chance to meet up with her about a month ago, I'd say, and she was visiting LA, and she's just a doll. Like, she has a lot of amazing stuff going on. She's
an iridologist.
She's an iridologist. She reads people's eyes. She helps people with their health. She's a coach. She's the nutritionist. She's got it all. Plus a raw food chef. I mean, she does it all.
Wow. One lucky guy to be with her, right?
Right. Yeah.
Raw chef and all that.
I know.
Does she eat it all raw?
Except if she's reading their eyes with her on their first date. He's like, "Why are you staring at me so strange?" No, she does not. But
she does high raw and stuff.
Yeah. Obviously, getting the nutrition is where it's at. But she sent me an email and offered to help because of a blog post that I had written, and I'll tell people about that in a second. But I was feeling just very, very stuck in some of my digestive problems lately, and it's good because it's actually forced me to kind of reassess and start a new project, which I'll talk about, kind of chronicling my journey with it. But she offered to do something really amazing, which was this new means of kind of sitting and energy. It's like basically sitting with the intention of someone, as far as I understand it, and maybe a little bit of dowsing and energy medicine to kind of find out what might be going on with a person's body. And she sent me the most interesting report last night. She had a half-hour session, 30-minute thing where she kind of energetically read into me to see what was going on and look for trapped emotions and stuff like that. And like you were saying, Jay, like it's really crazy what comes out of you, because she said what might be relating to my digestive issues are certain trapped emotions. And she sent me an email with the trapped emotion, the age at which they happened, and then if they had been cleared or not, if you can believe that.
Wow.
So at 2 years old, I had anxiety.
Really?
Isn't that crazy?
2 years old anxiety.
2 years old. Because you were talking about having these kinds of things affect you, and especially as a little person, you have all these things thrown at you. And then, on top of it, like, what the heck? What was that about? It had been cleared, and she cleared that for me. But what the heck was I anxious about, too? It was something that had to been projected onto me from my parents, and, obviously unintentional. And then at age 8, apparently I had love unreceived, which is interesting to me.
At age 8, love unreceived.
Not sure what that means. A lot of anger, a lot of anxiety, and it goes from age 2 up till age 26.
Wow. So is that wild? I mean, so she found something at 2 years old for you.
Yep. And she said if I resonate with anything on a level to kind of let her know, and, she could kind of delve a little bit more into it. But I'm trying to, this just happened last night, so I've been thinking about it. I'm like, my gosh, I don't even remember at 19, as she said that I had anger and anxiety is trapped in me. And I'm like, what happened at 19? Like, even give or take a year or two, around 19, I wouldn't say I had a lot of that going on in my life. But I was in beauty school, which was a really stressful time. I had dread as one of the emotions stuck in me at 18. I don't know what I was dreading, maybe about getting out of high school and the uncertain future. I don't know. Wow. Anyway, it's really interesting stuff.
So she did this work for you and sent you an email with some of the results that she found while doing this energetic work on you. Is that what it was?
Uh-huh. Yeah. So she's going to have another 30-minute session later in the week and really try to help me kind of wade through some of the digestive stuff that's still going on that just might be purely emotional, not anything that I'm, should be adding in diet-wise or subtracting or sweating. It might just be this emotional thing that needs to get unstuck to really help. So.
Yeah, I suspect digestion a lot of it is emotional.
I'm sure.
I really do.
Not being able to digest life, as Louise Hay talks about.
Yeah, being unable to digest the circumstances that are happening around you or in your life and not being willing to accept them and let them go. Especially people with constipation have that issue with being able to let go.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Isn't that funky?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, maybe with you, you're doing so many amazing things with your gut and your healing and stuff with all the different foods. Maybe it's time to go a little bit more inward or whatever. Yeah. With this stuff and look at that side of it.
It's pretty cool though that I decided to start a new project, which is a blogging my 365 days without missing journey to feeling good again.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. It's called
the Feel Good Project.
Baby Kate's Feel Good Project.
Baby Kate. Why did you put my name as Baby Kate on the blog in the first place?
I have no idea.
2 people have ever called me that in my life, and you just You took it and ran with it.
Oh.
It's so funny.
But it's called the Feel Good Project, right?
It is called the Feel Good Project because, as I say in the first blog entry, like, I'm just over not feeling great. Like, I have periods of time where I feel good and then periods of time where I just feel crappy. And it's like, I'm kind of over it. What is my journey going to look like to really feel good, to return to goodness all the time? Mm-hmm. And so I started it on Halloween. The 31st is a great, I seem to always start projects on holidays. I don't know if you've noticed that, but
I know it's
like
cool.
This last year, every single holiday, there's been something that I've started, like a birth of something, you know?
That's awesome.
But yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes, and I'm giving myself no rules or regulations about what I write about or what makes me feel good that day. And it's going to include obviously some of my food journey, but right now, just the last week, I think today makes it 1 week since I started it. And it's just going to be about what I need to do in order to feel my absolute best, and almost like a return to myself, because I felt pretty good as a kid, you know, digestion wise. And
I know,
even though I had these issues and stuff, it's like, how do I get back to that place, but a better version of it, because of what I know that's just going to add more, you know, to my life. But
yeah, it's cool. And you've also turned it into an audio blog too, which is cool.
Well, and you have too. This week we both started our project.
Yes.
So where did you first hear about that audio blog idea?
I think I first heard of it from a friend of ours who we had on the show, Danny Roddy.
Okay.
And he does a lot of work with the, what is this? Danny Roddy. I forget. He bases a lot of his work off the researcher and scientist Dr. Ray Peat.
Okay.
And he's got a he's got a whole thing about hormones and how to, you know, change your hormones. And then, you know, if you change your hormones, you change everything. And so he has a whole thing on hair loss, on sex drive, on all these different issues that people deal with that relate to hormones. And so one day I went over to his site and I went and he was actually just reading a post. I thought that's really cool, because if you're working or if you're doing something where you're kind of busy and you're like, oh, I want to read that post, but it's too long, or I don't have time to sit at the computer. You just hit play and that's you reading it.
Yeah. Don't you think a lot more people are going to, I love reading people's blogs and stuff, but I'm guilty as charged too. I mean, I will skip through or be like, oh, I'll read that later, and I never go back to it, even if it's something I'm super interested in.
Oh, I know. Completely.
So having it summed up in a 5 to 7 minute or 4 to 7 minute little snippet is really easy. Like,
yeah.
So that was a great idea.
We're also putting those on YouTube as well for people.
Yeah, so. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean,
you got all of mine posted to the site last night?
Yeah, you wrote your latest article there last night, and after this show, we're going to record that audio blog and then put it out on Facebook and stuff. It's cool though, isn't it?
It's really fun.
Yeah.
It's good for me because I'm not late. I wouldn't say I'm lazy by any means, and I wouldn't say that I'm lacking motivation. It's just when it comes to commitment, sometimes like I really need to just start, whether or not it's perfect, because I get stuck in the pattern like a lot of people do of wanting to see it being perfect before you put it out there. Mm-hmm. And you know, life's just not perfect. Like It's messy, it's ugly sometimes, and you mess up and you backtrack, and I'm willing to do that. So I'm just putting it out there. I'm not worried about the content being perfect. I'm not worried about it looking perfect or sounding perfect.
Or even too, you're going to be writing about your ups and your downs, so your struggles and your triumphs, and it's going to be sort of a complete approach to looking at you honestly and openly. Just writing about your struggles and writing about things that you've had really great success with, and just chronicling that journey throughout the entire year. I think it's going to be really cool.
Well, thank you. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited to see where it goes. I know I have I have a lifetime ahead of me, but I have a whole year ahead of me of, I think, what's going to be amazing leaps and bounds of growth in my life, physically and emotionally and mentally. So
I think it's interesting too that once you sort of put yourself out there in the public eye and you start offering your work and service to the world, it kind of gives you a motivation to sort of continue on and keep doing that and be held accountable to doing it. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because, you know, with this type of thing, it's like in the old media, we would always look to people like us, or, you know, people would look up to people like us or whatever and think that they have to be the experts and things like that. But, you know, this is just a journey that we're taking everybody on, that we're on, and learning and always learning new things. And to be able to be open and transparent and honest, I think is is a great thing.
Well, I think that's healing in itself.
Yeah.
Really. Part of me, in this crazy world we live in, it seems like so often, I just want to hide. I don't want to put myself on Facebook. I don't want to put any of my thoughts out there, because I'm a little bit paranoid, about the way things are going and the control people want to have on you and what they want to regulate. And, part of that concerns me, but then I came to a point where I'm like, you know what? If you don't putting yourself out there, okay, so people get a little too involved in your personal life, or they give you opinions, or, that's something that I have to overcome. Like, as long as I'm safe and I'm not putting things out there that, I think are compromising my safety or something.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of that, I feel like, wow, putting yourself out there for the judgment of the world is actually, to me, the ultimate freedom. Because it feels like the most binding thing, and then the most freeing thing when you realize that you can choose to do what you want with that and let it go, and be really nonchalant and let people's judgments of you go. I mean, that would have ruined my life a few years ago if I knew somebody said they hated our show or thought I say too many ums or wows, or we've got those kind of comments, and that might be true, but I can take what I want to learn from that and really use it in a constructive way to do better, but also not to take it to heart, because that whole quote that we say all the time, like, what other people think of you is none of your business.
Yeah, so, I mean, part of that is what we were talking about earlier, is just not having an attachment to or judgment on things. And so when someone says something to us and, we take it to heart and we just accept it for what it is. And if they're criticizing us, if they don't like the way we speak, or if they don't like what we're saying, or if they don't like our website or whatever it is that they might not like, stuff like that is just going to be, okay, we'll just accept it. Okay, well, maybe I could be a little bit better here. Duly noted, and then move on.
Yeah.
And then completely just keep putting yourself out there, because if you're able to do that, I mean, think of all the drama that happens just in that realm. Office politics, relational problems, and trying to read into what people are saying and really taking to heart. I mean, this is the stuff that actually kills people.
It does. You harbor these things and they start getting into your tissues, your organs, your brain. I mean, it's not health by any means.
When we went to this, speaking of this whole idea, we were, this last week went to a chiropractic session. We did 2 of them with Dr. DeWitt, in Dr. John Bergman's office. And by the way, our show on Friday is going to be Dr. John Bergman.
Yay! So I love when he comes in live. So much fun.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. But we went to, see him. We see Dr. DeWitt 3 times a week. We drive up there twice. And so anyway, when we're doing, 2 sessions with him in one day, we do a float session in between. And for those that don't, I'll explain floating in a second, because not everyone listens to every episode. But the float tank is just quickly becoming, and you did a whole audio blog on this.
Yes.
But the float tank is quickly becoming a tool that I think that we are going to need more and more in our society. I think it's the most powerful tool. I cannot explain just how amazing this is. And it's only amazing to the extent that you're able to let go, I think. If you're not able to let go, if you're a person that can't let go of things, it's not going to be that great.
Well, I think you'd think it's kind of stupid.
I think you would.
Like, what's the point?
Yeah, it's, I mean, why would you do, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to lay in a tank. So basically what the float tank is, if you haven't heard about it, you could be listening and this could be the first show that you ever hear, but the float tank is essentially an isolation chamber that they have built, and it's about, how would you say, about 4 feet wide, about 7 feet tall, maybe around 7 or 8 feet long.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
So it's a big square. It's not like this claustrophobic room, but it's a small room, and it's filled with about 12 inches of water. And what they do is they filter that water, and they put about 800 pounds of magnesium salts in the actual solution, and it completely dissolves. So
right.
The water
it's very silky.
Yeah, very silky.
Like silica.
It's almost as if it's like a thick milkshake, almost like if you were to, take your hand out of it or something, it just kind of runs off you like sludge or something. It's amazing. And so when you lay down in this thing, you shut the door behind you, and all 5 of your senses are taken away from you. So you have no sight, no smell, no taste, no hearing, and no feeling. So you have no ability to feel any of your 5 senses. So that's completely taken away from you. And you're floating, so you don't feel the water. The water, like you said in your audio blog, is the same temperature as your blood, And the air temperature is the same temperature as your blood too. So the longer you float there, the more you sort of just melt into the one space that is everything within that room, which is the water, your blood, and the air. So it all becomes sort of one. And since you can't see anything, it's like you're out in the middle of space. And you said this on your audio blog. I
likened it to that, yeah.
Yeah, you said it's like the closest thing to being out in space. But even out in space, you're still experiencing sight because you would see a planet or see the Earth or something like that.
Right.
Or feel your spacesuit. And so anyway, one of the biggest lessons that I had on my last session with you is to keep letting go. I kept being reminded of that as I was laying there, to stop trying so hard with everything that you're doing, and specifically with this radio show, and trying to grow our audience and trying to get more people to listen and to help more people. I kept being reminded to just let go, let go. Work hard and work at it and continually put yourself out there, but don't be attached to anything that comes from it, because if you're truly giving to the world, it's going to come, and you just have to not be so wound up about the immediate results. And that was the biggest lesson for me.
Did you feel like when you heard that and you contemplated that, were you able to feel like you emerged a little bit different? Like, were you able to let go to some extent? Or do you feel like that was the message and now it's like you're going to intentionally work on that? Yeah,
it wasn't as if, at the time it's easy to do that because you have this crazy environment that you're just laying in, and you have the magnesium salts in you, and you're relaxed, and that magnesium just relaxes you. So at the time I was able to let go, but for now it's a daily practice for me, letting go.
What does letting go look like? Because I feel like I'm getting better at it, but I can't put it into words what I'm doing. I just feel different. I don't know.
To me, it feels like if you do a meditation or something and you just take a big, deep breath all the way into your stomach, all the way into your lungs, and fill your whole cavity with air.
That's nice.
And that letting go is what that feels like, I think. So just being okay with everything, whatever is, like we listened to Mike Dooley on the latest Hay House thing. Remember what he was saying about letting go? He was saying, he has this whole, he started tut.com, T-U-T. What is it? T-shirts or
oh yeah. What was
thoughts?
That? Thoughts. Oh.
Something about thoughts. TUT.com. And he's now changed from doing that to becoming like a motivational speaker and putting out these audio programs and courses. Remember what he was saying in that show? He was like, if all of this came crashing down, it doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is freedom and living in abundance and living in creativity. And it just so happens that the way I do that is by creating online courses for people to buy so I can pay my bills. And creating life-changing programs that help people become a better version of themselves, and writing and speaking and all this stuff. And if all that were to go away, it doesn't matter, because the ultimate mission is living in abundance and living in the idea of helping people and all that. So it doesn't really matter what the medium is. All that matters is that you're living your life purpose, and that could be the outlet for that could be a million different things.
And letting go, you're right, at the attachment of what we think it, because we all go there in our brain thinking about what the situation looks like, what it should look like, how it's going to come about, our timing of when we think it should happen.
Or think about the very worst case scenario, if your biggest fear is being kicked out of your home for not paying your mortgage,
right? And
you have a family, that people that really support you. What is the biggest fear? So you sort of think about that in your mind. Okay, so the biggest fear would be I would be kicked out on the street. So what would it take for that to happen? Okay, that would take another 3 or 4 months of me not paying my mortgage for that to happen. Okay, if that were to happen, is there anybody else I could look to that would help, pick us back up and get us back on the road as a family, and all these things? And once you start to really ponder what it is that's the actual fear, it starts to release its grip from you.
I think that's true. Yeah. I think that's true too. It goes back to like what we were talking about earlier about the mental stuff. It's like once you're able to go in there and really be with it and see it for what it is. And I don't know, admit isn't the word, but there's a word I'm looking for. When you're aware of it,
yeah.
Then I think you're right. I think that's when change happens.
Because fear sort of just dissolves as soon as you have knowledge about something, Like if people are afraid to fly and they talk with a pilot. Pilot's 70 years old, 60 years old, has been flying for 30, 40 years, with never one hiccup, and the plane is completely safe and talks you down off the cliff.
Yeah.
And with the information of how safe it really is, knowledge just gets rid of fear. Mm-hmm. So going down that road in your head, okay, what's the worst thing going through? And saying, okay, is it so bad? Like all these things would have to domino effect. 14 things would have to happen for us to be on the street. So what are the chances of those 14 things happening? And then if they do happen, then if I go there in my head, if I'm already there in my brain, in my psyche before something like this happens, then you can kind of make peace with it.
You know what? That reminds me of my favorite hymn. I love it. It's the old hymn, "It Is Well With My Soul."
Oh, yeah.
It comes back to that for me every time. It's like the guy who wrote that, and Amazing Grace. I don't know if, anyone knows the backgrounds of the stories, and you can look them up online, but they're basically written out of a place of people who have lost everything and survived major tragedies, and they came out the other end, but not unscathed. They had their lives completely in shambles when they wrote these hymns, but man, the "It Is Well With My Soul" has just really, really resonated with me over the last few years, because I thought, yeah, I've gone to those places in my mind, like you just said, like, what is the worst scenario? What would it take to get there? And what if that happened? Mm-hmm. Well, then it's well with my soul. Like my soul goes on, my soul survives, I'm an eternal being, and it is well. Like that's all you can say at the end of it. Like we don't have control, and it's well. And that to me was something that if I were to ever get a tattoo, I wanted "It Is Well" written on the inside of my foot as a reminder. But that is before I knew about the ink toxicity and the possible heavy metals that could be leached into my body. But I think tattoos are so cool, and I would love one that would say that. But, whether I have a tattoo or not, to remind me, that's something that I just really bring myself back to that point of, at the end of "It Is Well." And to be able to say that and mean it is when I feel like I've really arrived.
Right.
So.
Yeah, really interesting. We're going to take a little break. I think it's time. I got to go pee-pee. I got to go visit the little boy's room.
I'm going to go stuff an avocado down my mouth.
Down your mouth?
While I try to digest it. I should not stuff it. I should take my time and be intentional with my eating.
And chew it thoroughly.
Yes.
And digest it well.
I'm going to go do that.
All right. So this is episode 339. We appreciate all you guys so much. It's so much fun to be back on our Free for All Friday show. We're very excited. Next week's actually going to be a little bit different. We're going to have our show on Monday like normal. And then we have a show on Thursday with Dr. Joe Dispenza. We didn't want to change his schedule around because we know how busy he is. So we're going to do a show on Thursday. I believe that one's going to be 10 o'clock, right?
It is going to be 10, yes.
10 o'clock Pacific time. So if you want to join us live, you can do that. And then our show on Friday, we're not going to have a Free for All Friday show next Friday. It's because it's going to be a live in studio session with our Dr.
Bergman.
Dr. Bergman.
At, is it 11:30?
I think it's 11.
You'll post it on the site, right?
I'll put it in the calendar, and that'll be on the right hand side of our site. So pretty cool stuff. All right, we're gonna take a little break. I'm gonna go visit the boys' room, and Kate's gonna go get an avocado.
Let's do it.
We'll be right back. Thanks for listening. I wanted to tell you about this really powerful and unique product called the Q Laser. Did you know there's over 2,500 peer-reviewed clinical research studies showing the benefits of low-level laser therapy on the body? We had Dr. Larry Lytle on episode 165 talking all about it. Dr. Lytle, what is the Q Laser?
The Q Laser is a light-delivering device, handheld, rechargeable, that is for lay people and professionals that works at the cell level of the body to restore energy. Since the body is all composed of cells and the cells are composed of atoms, it's good for any and everything in the body. It is especially beneficial for injuries. It will reduce swelling and inflammation before your eyes. Literally, you can have a sprained ankle and fly the laser, and within 30 minutes you can see that the swelling in the ankle has been reduced. Since all disease is inflammatory, you can assume that same process is working if you have some type of intestinal problem. We have pictures of using a heat instrument to diagnose the intestinal inflammation. We can show that intestinal inflammation is pretty much gone within 3 minutes using the Q1000 laser. It's the number one tool in your medicine cabinet. I have a saying, never leave home without your laser. I have had 3 serious burns, and each time I had my laser with me, I applied the laser immediately after I had the burn. I never even blistered.
Kate and I don't want to be without ours. We've worked out a special deal with Dr. Lytle for all of our listeners. If you'd like to learn more about how the Q laser can dramatically improve your health, go to extremehealthradio.com/laser.
Would you like to feel more energy and a better sense of well-being? What's flowing through your blood makes all the difference. In my 22 years of nutritional practice, I've found that the food and supplements taken into the body determines to a large degree the amount of energy and happiness people have. One giant step in the direction of more energy and happiness is the type and quantity of protein you consume. 2 years ago, I was introduced to a whey protein powder that gave me more energy and a better sense of well-being. Having struggled with low energy, this was a welcome experience. This protein is called One World Whey. It is the first ever undamaged whey protein powder from grass-fed cows. People report the following: profound improvements in blood sugar and energy, elimination of pain, better bowel movements, detoxification, younger-looking skin and fat loss. Athletes love the strength and endurance-producing effects. Call 888-988-3325. That's 888-988-3325. Or visit oneworldwhey.com. That's oneworldwhey.com.
And in my opinion, this is the best raw grass-fed protein powder on the market. It's developed on Amish farms. It's got 25 grams of protein in each single scoop. Crazy amount of protein. Increases your glutathione levels. It helps to release heavy metals and toxins, decreases inflammation all throughout the body, especially in the gut. And not only that, but it helps you build muscle and increase energy as well. It has tons of anti-aging properties. So really, really great protein powder. We like to use it every day in our smoothies. And our resident cancer guru, Ty Bollinger, what do you think about One World Whey?
Over the commercial there, you're talking about One World Whey. I want to encourage anybody that's listening, go to their website, go to Justin and Kate's website, and buy the One World Whey. That's something that we include every day in our diet. Every lunch, we have a One World Whey smoothie with super greens mixed in with it. It is fantastic. It's the best protein you're going to get. And as they mentioned, it's from grass-fed cows. It's organic. It's cold pressed. I mean, it is. You're going to get huge nutritive values from this One World Whey. It's the best protein on the market, I think. So, then that's something that most people are deficient in is quality protein. So I highly recommend you go there and go to their website and buy this stuff. It's the best that's on the market. And I'm good friends with Stephen Ewer, who is the owner of Synergistic Nutrition, and he's a quality guy, and they have excellent customer service as well.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy. We interviewed him on episode 88, and he's just an amazing guy, and I really love what he's doing. That's why I love supporting his work and love taking his products as well.
Yeah, great stuff.
And if you'd like to support Extreme Health Radio and the work that Kate and I do, you can get your hands on this One World Whey protein powder that I love so much at extremehealthradio.com/whey. That's WHEY. Or you could check it out in our store as well. That's extremehealthradio.com/whey.
100% listener supported. Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Don't forget to join our thriving community for health tips, inspiration, and show updates at extremehealthradio.com/Facebook.
So Kate has formally accepted the challenge. She's sitting here with a big, tall glass of pee.
Well, that's just wrong.
People are saying in the chat room, you're going to do a urine fast.
Hey, I'm not doing a urine fast. I told Tana I took a challenge.
What?
The urine challenge.
She gets a urine challenge?
Yes, because I've been talking smack about...
Talking jibba jabba?
Taking jibba jabba about doing this urine therapy challenge, which I know Tana and I and a bunch of other people are still a little weirded out about. But
Tana, you still haven't done urine therapy. I can't believe
I'm doing it. I'm doing it first. I'm going to beat her to the punch and send her photos.
Really? Send her. I'll take a photo of you doing it.
Okay.
Doing the nasty dude.
Oh, ew. Well, then take that.
You know what, though? The key, I'm telling everybody, the key is apple cider vinegar.
Yep, that's the only way I'm considering it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't... I've done it with just water, too, but some people... I don't understand Stephen Williams. You know how he was talking about... I mean, he just chug-lugs that stuff down.
He keeps it in his fridge, right?
Yeah.
Ugh. We keep bone broth. He keeps frozen pea. He didn't even freeze it, did he?
Makes pea cubes.
Gross.
Don't mind the yellowness to this ice cube. No, but it's it's if you do the apple cider vinegar, it changes the whole shape of the whole thing. You don't taste anything. And you know what's cool about that is it's a really great excuse to get apple cider vinegar too in you, which is healing in and of itself. And I just read the other day that apple cider vinegar helps to heal biofilms. Have you heard about that?
No.
Yeah, I read an article about gut health and things like that, and you've been talking about biofilms, and a lot of people have those. Biofilms, I think, maybe I stand corrected here, but they are similar to like an encasing. You look at it like an empty hotel with all the empty rooms, and the viruses live inside the hotel rooms. So they're encased in the biofilm that protects them from our immune system recognizing what they are, and then that way they can continue their destructive ways. But apparently, apple cider vinegar helps to destroy that.
What does it do? Open up the coating or the casing that they're in?
It must eat away at the biofilm casing, or I'm not sure what it exactly does, but that's just something I read.
Would that be a great name for like a documentary? Biofilms. The ultimate destruction.
The ultimate destroyer.
Or something like that.
Sounds like a truck or something.
Yeah, it sounds like Transformer. It sounds like the serious
G.I. Joe biofilm.
That's good stuff.
No, but so you're going to do the old urine therapy, huh?
I'm going to do it. I think this sounds like a good week to do it. This coming week, I will not let the week go by without doing it. That is a commitment, because I am committed to things these days. You
know what I've also heard, speaking of gross and disgusting things?
Okay.
I've heard that people, in order to increase their digestion with blended drinks, will actually spit into it.
Ah!
Is that weird?
Ugh. I'm eating a smoothie right now, and that creeps me out.
No, so what they'll do is they'll if they put say something in there that they can't, let's say they put a peach or something, they'll choose similar to what a mama bird does with her little chicks or something. They'll
be pre-digested.
They'll take one bite of the peach and kind of chew it up in their mouth, and then spit it back in the blender, and then just put all the other ingredients and everything. And essentially you can't taste that, but it brings your enzymes.
I believe it.
Into the actual thing itself. And
so it's like the pee thing, like you're upcycling and you're retaking in minerals and enzymes and things.
Yeah, because essentially even though the food when it's blended and it's pre-digested, if you drink it fast like I do, and I seem to figure out a way to drink it slow, outside of putting cayenne pepper in my sweet drinks, like some people do, which I don't want to do. But it essentially tells your body with the enzymes of your saliva, because as soon as you eat something, your body starts producing stomach acid, and specific enzymes get created in your mouth that will help digest that particular food. And so some extreme people have been taking a bite of a peach, chewing it up in their mouth.
Why a peach?
Or I'm just using that example. But it's called the peach cult.
Oh.
Yeah.
You've actually heard that? I'm like...
You believe me?
Yeah, all of a sudden I'm like, is there this group on Facebook?
It's a peach cult. They're down in San Diego. They wear Nikes.
Hey, now. I'm gullible, but not that gullible. I thought,
purple
but half the things that come out of your mouth, I'm like, sure, I've never heard of that, but I mean, the urine therapy in the beginning, I'm like, Are you kidding me? That was so foreign of a concept, but...
Isn't it weird that actually urine therapy is a huge Ayurvedic thing, too? Thousands of years people have been doing
Really?
This. Yeah.
How come, on our Ayurveda talk with Alicia Diaz, wasn't that a question in the chat room? I think Isby asked her what she thought about urine therapy, and she didn't really have much to say on that.
Yeah, I think she said it was something that she explored but doesn't really put into practice. But it's incredible medicine.
I think it would only help.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, they say to start out with like a drop under the tongue, but you can just do a little teaspoon or something with apple cider vinegar. And
I'm going to drink a whole bucket in order to prove myself right.
Well,
I'm just kidding. I'll do a little shot.
Do like a beer,
I'll play beer pong.
Yeah, beer pong. Hold you upside down.
Pong.
Like at a bar, hold you upside down.
Oh, we are crazy today.
Have you seen that guy? He does. He drank a whole bottle of Jack Daniels in one go. Have you seen that video? Oh.
How old of a person?
He looked like he was 30. He's like doing it on a dare with his friends.
What happens to him?
He just drinks it, and it's one of those short clips, like those short Instagram video things.
He just chugs it?
He does it all just chugs a whole bottle.
I cannot even imagine.
Jack Daniels. Unbelievable. What people put their bodies through. Unbelievable.
It seems like your esophagus alone and your whole pipe would just be ravaged. Oh, ugh.
That reminds me of that story of, what is his name? What is his name? He's in Texas. He's got a whole site. He's a raw food, superfood kind of herbalist guy. But he, when he was a child, I think I told you about this before, he drank gasoline.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Just because, when you're a kid, you don't think about anything. And it just completely destroyed his stomach, his digestive tract, all his organs. And he's been on this lifelong journey to overcome that.
Whoa. It's like I might have been a little oblivious and not thought I thought as a kid, but that's
insanity.
That's insane.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh my gosh.
I'm not sure. Gosh, I got to find out. Can you put a little note there, and I'll try to find his website. He's got and now he's doing raw food and he's doing all kinds of. This guy's an incredible guy, but he as a child drank gasoline and has been on a lifelong journey to restore and rebuild his entire organ and glandular system because of that.
Has he done it?
Yeah, he seems
for the most part.
Seems to be doing pretty well. He's got a whole thing, and he coaches people now and talks to people and gives, lectures and seminars and all this stuff. But so
incredible.
Drinking your own pee, compared to gasoline,
makes that look
not so bad.
Yeah, that's going to be next week's for sure, and I'll have something to blog about too.
I think the Chinese do it too.
Do they?
They do it to rebuild their hormones, like the people in China, at least that follow sort of the TCM, which is the traditional Chinese medicine. The people that are into like herbalism and stuff like that, they do it as a way to they won't even drink their own pee. They'll drink like the pee of a young, like same sex child. So if they're a man, they'll drink a little boy's, like maybe 15-year-old pee that's loaded with hormones and all these things.
Well, that's not that far then from the fecal implantation they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
My dad mentioned, do you remember this? Did we talk about this?
That's right.
At dinner, he meant, because that's basically taking someone else's excrement, whether it be urine or fecal matter, and putting it into your own body from a person who is at a higher caliber of health or age or whatever it is,
I got turned on
hormone
to that
level.
By it was either Dr. Stephen Hines or Dr. Richard Massey told me about that.
Wow, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, but tell people the way they're doing it now. It's a little bit different.
So this is interesting. I know that you mentioned doing these implantation, which I don't even know how that would look like.
For kids with autism.
Right. But I don't know what an implantation would be in your bowel, do you? How do they implant the fecal matter from a healthy person? I don't know.
I would imagine it would have to be like a surgical kind of thing where they probably don't put you out, but they probably somehow. A doctor puts it up the bum.
Yeah, up the old bummy bum. Mm-hmm. And then, so my dad mentioned to me when I was cutting his hair a couple weeks ago about how he read some article, like a mainstream article, about fecal pills, and they call them poop pills.
Wow.
And I'm not sure he was such a bummer he didn't save the article, and I was like, he asked if we had heard of fecal whatever, and I said, well, yeah, we've heard of this implantation, but we never heard of the pills before. Yeah, and I'm not sure where these pills are coming from or who they're coming from, but apparently, for it to even be in the eye of the mainstream media was really a cool thing. But I told my dad, I said, well, you know why they're doing that, right? He had no idea. I said, they're basically I don't want to say the word cure, but they are helping
assist the body to overcome these issues.
Yes, such as autism and, a lot of problems. So,
and what did he say?
Poop pills.
Was
he was like, oh, really? I didn't hear that. I heard that I think that he said that he had read that they were really good for restructuring the gut and making you healthier and using it for ultimate health. But I don't think he understood. I mean, coming from someone who's never had digestive problems, it's just really hard for them to understand. Like,
to relate.
When people used to say digestive problems, I mean, I really thought it was like people were complaining about being bloated or have a little bit of gas that would pass or have diarrhea once in their
gut. It doesn't
time.
even compute.
It doesn't. No, I'm talking like organs and problems. And I mean, I've unfortunately had to experience it, but it doesn't compute anymore. So when my dad said digestive stuff, I'm like, oh, well, he's probably thinking it's for these people that have like, a little bit of problems there and there.
He probably has digestive problems and doesn't know it.
Right.
But it's funny, isn't it interesting how, like, if you medicalize something, it becomes more, less taboo? Like, think about Premarin, which is basically, what is it, one of the main components? What is Premarin? It's like a hormone estrogen thing that older women take to balance.
Out there.
Allegedly. Mm-hmm. But it's horse urine.
It's horse urine.
Premarin. Yeah, I mean, Premarin. And that's like, if you were to say to someone who takes Premarin about how I've started doing urine therapy. Like, okay, so
they'd be so disgusted.
Oh, they'd be completely disgusted. They'd almost throw up right in front of you. But it's like, it's so funny because it's like, okay, so there's this level of disgustedness that we have of drinking our own pee. Then you take it another step further and drinking, like the Chinese do, the pee of a young man or woman to build your hormones. And that's like, oh, you're drinking somebody else's pee. Oh, that's horrible. And then you think, okay, now I'm going to drink the pee of an animal. But you turn into a pill, and that's okay. No big deal. Hey, I just take Premarin. Somehow that's okay. It doesn't make any sense.
It's the way things are marketed and disguised that people are okay with. Which is also true about bad food. I mean, if someone were to take you to a factory and dump a ton of chemicals right before your eyes into a bucket and say, drink this, you'd be like, no. But then they make it into a Ritz cracker.
I know.
And you're like, oh, yum, I'll even put some liquid cheese on it. It's funny what you're okay with. But Isby's interesting in the chat room, says that they also heard that bears drink bile.
Really?
And Tana says, why do animals eat other animals' fecal matter? Which I think is actually really interesting. Because Maggie, I mean, dogs do that. Every once in a while, I'm like, what the heck are you doing? That is disgusting. She'll
they probably know
start to put something in her mouth.
Yeah, they probably know they need the bacteria.
I know. And I think animals are just so cool to watch. Like, because remember we were talking with our friend Cherie. Cherie was also on our show talking about essential oils. Cherie Baum from That Happy Mom. She's a really good friend of mine. And she was the first one to bring to my attention why dogs, especially when you're walking them, seem to find the perfect position to squat and poop.
Right.
And they, Maggie does these little circles, and then she'll be not sure, and then she'll circle around somewhere else. And then
she'll trot along and find another spot that's a little bit better. Yeah.
And Cherie was mentioning that it had something to do with, they're trying to find basically like it's a directional thing, like with a compass. Like they're trying to find their true north for some reason or something like that and position themselves accordingly to, I don't know why, the poles of the earth or whatever, but I don't know if it helps them assist in eliminating or... I don't know what they're doing.
Or it could be a sense of direction, because dogs are very good at direction. I wonder if animals, like Tana said, how they, will eat either their own poop or someone else's poop or another animal. I wonder if they would do that if they were completely, I guess, not vaccinated and never had any shots. Because I wonder if it's a type of thing where the animal actually starts to feel like they need something and that they can get out of that. And so that's why they do it. But if they had never had been inoculated with vaccinations and drugs, things like that, if they would ever feel the need to do that.
Wow, that's interesting. Well, but this is interesting too, because I wonder, because Tana was saying in the chat room as a preschooler or whatever, she ate dirt. And a lot of kids do that.
You won't drink your pee.
Thank you very much. But that's kind of funny, and I kind of laugh because I'm like, oh, we probably all tried to stick dirt in our mouth, and our moms were like, no, or sand or whatever. Right. But like we had Liana Warner Gray on, what was that, 2 weeks ago? Mm-hmm. And she actually was saying how the bentonite clay is an element and a product that she has become. Oh, yeah. She starts to crave it. Like she actually misses it when she doesn't have her bentonite clay, and she'll just put a teaspoon of it, and it's gritty. I mean, it tastes like the dirtiest dirt ever.
And you and I looked at each other like, last time you did it in water, we looked at each other and thought, Liana, I don't understand how that's possible. Or is that really true?
I'm like, are you actually like craving this stuff? And you'll miss it because it's hard for me to get down. Right afterward, I'll like shake my head and then do a shot of a B vitamin that, you know, is like has a little different flavor to get the taste out of my mouth.
Right.
But, you know, back in the day, I'm wondering, though, if that were true, if people were lacking, like Tana mentioned, too, in the chat room, it's really cool. Like, sometimes animals will eat grass, and it's because they're probably lacking these minerals. My cat used to do that. I mean, they get this grass up in their throat, they'll do this weird thing, and it's either to get out a hairball or to probably uptake some minerals that they're missing from the grass. And they just know these things. Yeah. So is that what people... Back in the day, I mean, we probably should be eating more dirt. I mean, not only for the bacteria and stuff, but like these clays and things that are so healing. We're so far removed from, we're so used to things just tasting good that we crave such different things. I mean, now we're craving pizza crust instead of clay minerals, you know? Like, well,
our entire society has been completely antibacterialized, you know, where everything has to be free of bacteria. And, you know, it would make a lot of sense if you had your own garden to not wash your food. I would probably go a step further. I probably wouldn't eat the food from my own garden unless we actually had like a greenhouse.
Yeah.
Because
I know.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of people talk about this chemtrail stuff. But whether or not you think chemtrails are real or not, it doesn't really matter because you have tire dust that's floating into the atmosphere, like 700 million tons of tire dust that's coming off our freeways and cars every single year. You have airplane fuel. You have car exhaust.
You have chlorinated water. I mean, it's uptaken unless you're really anal about what kind of water you're putting.
So all this stuff is floating around in our air, and so I probably wouldn't even eat or wash. If we had a garden and it was under a tarp or something, then I would definitely get a little bit of dirt. I think that'd be amazing.
I do too. Make a little greenhouse. I think greenhouses are probably one of the most awesome ways to protect your stuff from the elements. I mean, one day, Stelman.
That would be really cool, huh?
Good dream.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I just finished a smoothie. I have a new name. I was just going to get an avocado at the break, but I couldn't help myself.
Had to go for the full smoothie?
I had to. I was so excited about it because we got the new One World Way that has the higher protein count. Why are you laughing? Because I had smoothie coming on my face.
Because you put that. It was like
Yeah, it was bad. It wasn't the most graceful thing I've ever done while eating. But I decided to name our smoothies the Vata smoothie because both you and I, what do you think? It's been about 2 weeks since we've really kind of delved more into the Ayurveda stuff. And being Vata type people, we're not good with cold. And so we were doing smoothies 2-3 times a day sometimes. And so I started making a room temperature, almost like a mousse for a smoothie. And you have too. And let me tell you, I'm feeling a bit better. It actually helps me.
Yeah, it makes a... Do you think that, I mean, how
Cutting
much...
out the frozen fruit and just making it room temp.
I struggle with this kind of thing because I wonder how much it's actually affecting, but I think the way our bodies and health works and life works too, it's almost like it's a tipping point. I don't think it's necessarily any one thing that really messes our digestion up or messes up our health or whatever it is. I think it's a cascading effect of lots of different things stacked on top of one another. Because I was going to say, like, I mean, how much damage could a cold drink do to someone like us who are Vata, who are cold to start with and need warmth to balance us out?
You're right. Probably not much at the beginning.
But like we've been doing this for years and years and years, for 10, 15 years doing these kind of smoothies. And so I think if you add it to everything else that we're doing wrong in terms of Ayurvedic medicine, then I think it can start showing signs of like, okay, it's like we were talking about the other day. If someone who has cancer or something like that, they can't just keep doing everything they're doing, not do any traditional treatments, and do wheatgrass juice and think they're going to overcome it.
Right.
You know, you have to like do 1,000 things.
Charge it.
Yeah. And so I wonder, but I do feel, with that said, I do feel a big difference in not eating as many cold things, for sure.
Yeah, I do. I've been doing, I mean, from my blog and from me talking on these shows, like people probably already know this, but you and I both been doing the bone broth daily now for a few weeks, and
that's been huge.
I actually started boiling my own bones in between buying the broth that we've been buying. And
you cut your arm? What did you do?
What?
Your own bones?
Did I just say my own bones?
I've been boiling my own bones for about 2 weeks now. Really?
And I taste really good.
I can't use my left arm or
like
my right leg, but I'm doing pretty good.
Small sacrifice for mankind.
Yeah, I'll have to buy a wheelchair soon, but my bones are amazing.
I'm sorry. I have been making our own broth out of chicken bones that we've been eating from these rotisserie chickens from Whole Foods.
Unbelievable.
These organic chickens, unbelievable.
Very nice.
And that broth to me is the best tasting broth I've ever had. But, oh man.
Yeah, it's really good, isn't it?
It's really good.
Yeah, they're organic, non-GMO, verified, grass-fed, just awesome chicken.
Just salt and pepper. It's really great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that's making a huge difference with me versus a cold thing first in the morning. And, I've been waking up the last few mornings at like 5:30 and going in the sauna right away. So warming myself up is just getting me really, really like into a place of better, I think, health. I just feel better. I feel lighter. So right now, that's why I made the smoothie at the break, because I was like, okay, I've had broth all morning and I'm kind of hungry. So
you used to have this really romantic idea of living in like Europe or New York.
Me?
Moi? And Paris and, Milan, walking the fashion streets.
No, it was never Milan.
Shopping with your bag.
It was never Milan.
Venice.
Okay, maybe Venice.
Maybe Venice. But yeah, you used to really romanticize about that kind of, and I could see that how the cold and, but lately you've been sort of changing your tune a little bit.
I have been, yeah. I wouldn't want to live in, yeah, being in your 20s, young 20s, I think you idealize stuff and romanticize stuff, and I realize I don't like being cold.
Yeah.
I don't like being cold, and the romance of it far outweighs, I don't know, like it can't be outweighed by the misery that accompanies being cold. So
I think the idea of like there being like a blizzard outside and snow and you're inside where it's warm and next to a fire with a few people or by yourself or whoever, in a really quiet kind of relaxing environment with some hot cocoa. There's something really romantic about that sounds just like,
doesn't it?
What a peaceful thing that would be. But the reality is that you're not sitting there shivering.
Right.
So you don't really like the cold. You like everything like you would like to be.
I like the cold around me while I'm in an isolated bubble.
Where you like to be warm, but everybody else is like, freezing to death.
I know.
But that's, I could understand that.
Yeah. No, it's fun. And I still get mad every Christmas. I just want to be cold for a few weeks, but then I want it to be warm again really fast. So
Tana shares a little insight into her childhood.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to share that.
Yeah, that was quite a story of her, I don't know if we should share that on the air. She's in the chat room, shared a very personal story about something that happened to her as a child in school.
I think this might be.
She got caught peeing.
Oh.
With 5 boys behind the classroom
building.
Or something.
Tana. Who are you?
That's hilarious.
Well, then she'll have no problem me passing on the urine challenge.
I know.
That's
you guys.
For sure.
Yeah, you guys. Let's institute a urine challenge to everyone. Everyone listening to this show, whether you're listening in the future or now or whatever. Gets to try urine therapy at least once by the time we have next our show with Dr. Bergman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
maybe we'll bring it up to him and see what he thinks about urine therapy. At least once.
Maybe we'll bring him a shot and have him do it in the office. Just kidding.
Oh, my gosh.
And by the way, Tana wants us to know she was 5 when this happened.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't last week.
It wasn't
or
like 17, she's in high school. Yeah, 5 years old. Okay.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so that's the challenge, all right?
Okay.
So go out, get your bottle of Bragg's apple cider vinegar, bring a little cup into the bathroom, do some work, and then put the apple cider vinegar in the cup.
Okay.
Equal parts. You could do even equal parts apple cider vinegar, water, and your urine. You won't taste a thing.
Okay. I'll start it off. I'll be doing it.
You can blog about it.
Okay.
And for those that don't know, or who are just catching this now, your blog is awesome, and it's
mine.
It's turning into an audio blog. We talked about that.
Oh,
but the links for it are extremehealthradio.com/ and then it's K for Kate, AB for audio blog, KAB, and then the number of the actual blog. So it's
I just threw my pen across the room by accident.
Her first one is KAB10. KAB10. So that's your first.
KAB10. Okay,
yeah.
I'll link up to that too.
Yeah. So you got that? That's the urine therapy challenge.
Okay, I like this. Urine therapy challenge.
At least once.
Well, started by our friend Tana, who it got me going in the first place.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the difficult part about it. If you're living with people that don't understand what you're doing, it's going to be challenging.
Yeah. Talk about a challenge.
Yeah, it's going to be weird because...
you might not want to mention it to people.
Yeah,
you know. Or you can. Who cares?
You know, Tana's husband, I'm not sure how open he is, but, you know, a lot of people's husbands or wives or children or whatever... you know, it's weird because you go to the bathroom, and then you come out with this little cup, and people are naturally going to be like, "What the heck is that?" So it's kind of hard to do unless you're alone or you bring the apple cider vinegar into the bathroom with you. You know what I mean? It's
so it might not be the kind of thing you want to walk through a living room and excuse yourself during a dinner party to go do. You're saying?
Come out with a nice, tall, clear glass. Yeah.
Oh, we are a hot mess today.
Yeah, we're a hot mess. Hey, do you want to take a break? And when we come back, we can talk about that weird template stuff?
Sure.
Crazy stuff. Do you think you can find the link?
Yeah, I'll look for it. We should also talk about our weird dog.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, what a morning for Maggie.
Yes. All right. So this is episode 339, and we're going to be right back right after this break. In today's modern world, we're surrounded by magnetic radiation, electric fields, radio waves, microwaves from our cell phones, our laptops, our computers, iPads, and even cell phone towers and power lines. These EMF frequencies damage the blood-brain barrier, they cause sleep problems, they decrease melatonin, and disturb our electric bodies. After much research, that's why we recommend a company called Less EMF. Listen to what founder Dr. Emil de Toffel has to say.
The dangers of radiation. Where do you even begin? There's many different kinds of radiation and there's many different kinds of dangers. Modern electronic devices will emit a variety of electromagnetic fields. Electric fields, magnetic fields, radio waves, and microwaves. This type of radiation has been associated with a variety of health effects, including cancers, headaches, sleeplessness, ADD, diabetes, and more. The effects seem to be cumulative, and our exposure seems to be cumulative as we're adding more and more electronic devices in our world and spending more and more time with each one. Radiation levels and the type of radiation from these devices vary, but its impact seems to accumulate in the body. So we do have shielding of a variety of different kinds. We have shielding metals to control magnetic fields, shielding canopies to put over your bed. So if you have an electromagnetic situation, we probably have a solution for it.
Protect yourself and your family today. They've got very affordable products for all of your portable devices, your home, and more. Visit extremehealthradio.com/less-EMF. That's LESSEMF. Or check them out in our store to see videos. Again, go to extremehealthradio.com/less-EMF.
I have to say, I have been absolutely loving this product by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar called Good Morning, Good Evening Qigong. If you want to listen to the interview we did with Tristan, you can go to extremehealthradio.com/127. And Qigong is a great way to de-stress the body. And as you know, there's a huge component to disease caused by stress. And stress is a huge factor in how we live our lives and the amount of energy we have and the amount of vitality we have. And so, Dr. Shade, what do you think about Qigong?
People come to me and they're really sick and they got this blown out neurological system and all this toxicity. And I tell them, you need to do Qigong, Tai Chi. You need to do these things that settle down and restore your neurology, because it puts together all the parts. It puts you back into that state where you can start to detoxify. And so I highly, highly recommend all that.
And what about you, Kit Campbell? What do you think about Qigong? Do you like it as well?
Qigong is amazing. And the reason that I believe it to be amazing is everything here is energy. That is a scientific fact, if there ever is one. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually drawing energy into your body. Your intention, whatever your intention is behind any action, will determine the level of energy, type of energy that you absorb into your body. So your intention behind is very important, just like thought. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually bringing energy in and you're bringing out the stuff that might be a bit stale. With Tai Chi, it's totally different. The energy runs underneath the skin because it's more of a martial. This is the Chinese understanding, by the way. It's more of a martial art. So Qigong is very, very good for bringing that energy into the body, and just fantastic.
If you're interested in picking up this Qigong course by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar, go to extremehealthradio.com/Qigong. That's QIGONG. And you can learn more about it. There's a great video on that page, and you can learn more about it on that page. And I highly, highly recommend this product. I love it myself, so go ahead and check that out. extremehealthradio.com/Qigong.
All free shows, all the time, on Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Join our community today. Sign up to our email list and instantly get our free gift to you, along with loads of inspirational content and cutting-edge tips to help change your life at extremehealthradio.com/subscribe.
See, Kate, we got way off track on the last segment. We talked about, for one entire segment, we talked about pee.
That's really random.
That's really strange. What happened? I think Tana was calling you out in the chat room.
Only on a show like this. Yeah, she started it. I'm blaming her. But what are we supposed to have? No judgments?
No, that's right. No judgments.
I'm not blaming anyone. I'm grateful for the journey.
Oh, my goodness. So someone, you said, talked about Manuka honey?
Yeah. We have a question. Is it better to use maple syrup or Manuka honey? For some reason, my body rejects bee products, and I start vomiting and getting sweats. Ooh.
Really? So what they said, their body rejects honey?
Rejects bee products. Interesting. Well, I've heard Manuka. I don't know, but I've heard Manuka honey. Our friend Bo was taking it for all kinds of things, and she had mentioned to me that Manuka honey was used for a myriad of healing modalities. So I'm not sure if it's like a grade above regular raw type honeys, and if you're going to have the same reaction. It's kind of like the peanut thing with me. Like I've heard that jungle peanuts are actually not anaphylactic acting.
Right.
But that regular peanuts will, could do really bad things to me. But do you know anything about Manuka versus maple syrup?
I know that Manuka honey is one of the most powerful honeys there is, because I think it comes from New Zealand. There's like a Manuka bush that the bees pollinate. And it's really, really powerful honey. And in New Zealand, they have this interesting laws where it's very, very pure and pristine. And so for some of the bee products, like there can't be any roads within 20 miles of where this honey is produced. So there's no chance for the bees to go out and pick up toxic materials or anything like that. And Manuka is it's got a bunch of qualities in it that help with antibacterial things and qualities. And a lot of people say that it actually helps with things like candida, which you would think, wow, that is so...
It's antifungal, right?
Antifungal.
Which makes me... That's why I'm saying, like, I would think it would be different than regular honey if it has all those properties, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, there's a lot of people making Manuka honeys that are different, claiming to be Manuka honeys, but they don't contain as much of the... There's some sort of chemical. I forget what it's called. It starts like an MG something, but they claim that it's Manuka honey, but it only contains trace amounts of this compound that makes Manuka honey so powerful. But yeah, it's antibiotic, it's antibacterial, it's antifungal. It's incredible in terms of healing and minerals and things like that. In terms of how it relates to the comparison. If you're unable to, I would get a blood test. If you're unable to do bee products, then just go with something like a cooked product, which is essentially the concentrated form of tree sap, which is maple syrup.
Okay.
But it's I don't know. Both are really great. I would probably be a little bit more leery of the maple sugar. Just because it's a cooked product and it's kind of concentrated down, very, very concentrated. And so it doesn't, I know it's got a lot of minerals, because I don't think minerals die when you cook things. I think vitamins die and enzymes die. But I don't think minerals
live on.
Minerals live on.
That was a little dramatic.
So, yeah, personally, I like a little bit of, I like mixing a little bit of something sweet with a green leaf stevia. That's my favorite thing.
Yum. Green leaf stevia is a little hard to find. Probably not online, but at our store. Yeah,
you can find it online. In fact, I think they have it at the Raw Food World, which is the company that we are connected up with, Matt and Angela's raw food store. If you go to extremehealthradio.com/rawfoodworld, all one word, it'll take you over there. But I think they have it there. Green leaf stevia is great because it's not concentrated. It's not chemically derived. It's clean and pure. It's got the minerals in there.
What are you laughing
at?
You're laughing? I'm just laughing in the chat room.
What's happening in the chat?
Well, it's not funny. I'm not laughing at what was just said, that someone, the person who took the Manuka honey has been vomiting took it last night, has been vomiting like crazy and thinks they had a severe allergic reaction.
Whoa.
And yeah, I don't know what you would do about something like that, but ooh.
Wow.
That sounds gnarly. I wasn't laughing about that. I was laughing about something else, but
wow,
that's terrible.
That's crazy.
I don't know. What do you think, sweating, when you have an allergic reaction like that and you're that sick and trying to get it out of your system? I mean, obviously throwing up is your body's way of trying to get it out.
Purging.
Do you think sweating would be good, or do you think that would make you feel more sick?
I would think, if it were me, anything you can do to aid the body's ability to get rid of these toxins. So sweating, if it were me, I would try sweating. I would try, I'd take some ginger to help calm the stomach.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe do a castor oil pack.
What about charcoal?
Oh, yeah, that's it right there. There you go.
That soaks it all up and gets it out, right?
Charcoal would be great. Bentonite clay would be great. And another thing, too, from what I understand, as far as allergic reactions, is sulfur. And Tana was asking me about this earlier in a private email that she sent about sulfur. And sulfur is an amazing compound to have on hand if you ever have an allergic reaction to something.
Organic sulfur.
Organic sulfur, yeah.
What does organic sulfur look like? Does it come in like a powder? What is it?
Yeah, mostly in a powder. You can get it in pill form as well.
Huh. We don't have any of that, do we?
We used to, but we haven't done it for a while because of your thiol sulfur issues.
Oh, right.
But if you're having an allergic reaction, sulfur, because I believe it helps to deliver and transfer oxygen into the interior of your cells. And so and when oxygen gets inside your cells, then you start being able to better handle just about everything.
So people do that? Like, have you heard about people using that for like snake bites and like really crazy like...
Yeah.
Huh.
They'll put something like sulfur on, because sulfur helps to bind and restore connective tissue as well. And so if you have like a torn knee or tendon, or if you have a snake bite or some sort of scar or scratch or something where your skin needs to congeal and come back together, sulfur will be amazing to put on that.
Too bad we didn't have that when you decided to pour charcoal into your open wound. Remember that?
Oh my gosh.
You got, what would you say, impaled by a piece of metal? You got impaled by a sculpture of a peacock or a crane? That thing was weird. Was it a palm tree? What was that thing?
So in our town, there's a little like hotel, and as part of their little thing they have on their sidewalk, this thing that sort of sticks out actually, and it's, I don't know, some kind of peacock or something like that. But the tails of it come down into this shape that just is like a knife. And I seriously can't believe they still have this thing out there.
Like on the street where people, it's outside a bed and breakfast.
It's outside of a bed and breakfast. And so anyway, the other day, or a while ago, I was walking, and I had my iPod in, and there was a delivery truck right there, right next to
the curb.
The curb.
It was pulled up to the curb, delivering linens out the back.
Yeah.
To the front of where the sculpture was, the front of the B&B.
And it was just funny how the fortuitous event of like two different things happened that caused my issue. So when I was walking right there, there's also right at that point, there's a pole, like a street pole, like no parking kind of thing. And so it immediately cut the width of the sidewalk from 100% to 50%. I had to walk around this pole. And so right when I got up to that area, a loud car across the street, it would sound like a sonic boom. This was like a Harley Davidson or something. So I turned to look at it while at the same time walking around this pole. And right when that happened, the guy came out with his linens. And so it was like all this happened in a split second. So I overcompensated and leaned.
You kind of jumped out of the way, huh?
I kind of leaned, so this guy could make sure he doesn't fall out of his truck. And I was like startled by this thing. And so when I did that, I just impaled myself on this sharp.
Well, the rusty sharp thing was actually bent out.
It was bent too.
It had turned out. Do you remember when we went back? The woman said that there had been a bunch of rowdy military guys taking over the town the night before, and they were messing with her stuff, her sculptures, and somebody had bent it out, so it shouldn't have even been sticking that far out onto the sidewalk. But
yeah.
The creepiest part was when you came home. So I expected you to be gone for an hour and a half because you said you were going to the gym. And 20 minutes later, I hear the keys rattle. And the driver of the linen truck drove you back home, right? Because he saw it and he was like, because you kind of had to pull your arm
off of that thing,
right?
Ooh. It was right on my shoulder.
And so you came, the best part is when you came in the house and I said, oh my gosh, you're back already? What happened? And all you could mutter, you tried to mutter something as you went to the bathroom to get hydrogen peroxide. And you know what you said to me? You're like, oh, this peacock. And I'm like, oh, I'm thinking you got attacked by a bird? We don't even have peacocks in this town. And that's all you said. And then you went away and then I followed you to get more and then you explained it. But you poured charcoal pills. We had charcoal pills that you take to basically internally to soak up toxins, and you took one and you cleaned the thing out a lot. You open it up, you could actually see white, the muscle. It was really deep, and you wanted me to pour that charcoal into the wound.
Well, I cleaned it up with soap, and then after that I put some hydrogen peroxide, and then before I put a Band-Aid on, I wanted to do that. I should have got some aloe vera too, because aloe vera contains so much sulfur. That's why it's so healing.
Pretty crazy. So what happened? Your wound healed up, sealed up, and now, look at it. You have...
like a tattoo.
You have a black mark, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but it sealed it up. Within 2 days, it was completely closed.
Yeah. And, that thing was a rusty nail, too.
That was bad.
And that could have been really bad in terms of... they try to scare you with lockjaw and all these kind of things,
Why you need a tetanus.
Yeah, but man, that charcoal, I wish
wonders.
I had done just sulfur instead of charcoal, because now I got this black scar on my shoulder.
I think we should just keep it around. I think we should have it as one of our, we've been meaning to. I think we just need to go do it.
Yeah, sulfur is really, I'd be curious if you tried some really organic sulfur, if you would have an issue with that.
I think it could be different. I think it's like the cottage cheese Budwig protocol.
With the people that can't do milk?
Yeah, I really do. I think it might change something,
Yeah.
in its makeup to allow you to be able to assimilate.
So Tana was asking me about it, and I asked her if she tried to get the pure sulfur yet. And she says, first few days I had detox symptoms. The detox symptoms actually surprised me, given I already do coffee enemas. So I was thrown that I had some detoxing going on. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. I'm sure you have to kind of be prepared for that. To be able to not, just to plan on maybe having some reactions and not feeling as great, because it does seem like it would make you go into a detox type state, doesn't it?
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Fascinating. Yeah. I'm going to try that pretty soon. I'm going to see if we can figure out a way to get some of that stuff in our store. And that would be really cool. That'd be a lot of fun.
Well, I think we should. Is that a hard thing to be able to put in our store? Or?
I don't know. I have to figure out where my friend Patrick Timpone gets his from.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, and see about getting it in our store, because that stuff is just incredibly powerful. Really, really powerful. Hey, so you have, were you able to find that thing on the templates?
I do.
What is that? You were fascinated by this.
Yeah. I don't even know how to explain this.
I
really have to pee.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Can I go pee?
Yeah.
And then I'll bring it up?
Yeah, let me kind of talk, or...
Well, it started because Allison Adams, who wrote the Natural Recovery Plan, she's been on our show as well. Sorry, that smoothie just went right through me.
No worries.
She wrote me an email, personal email, and has recommended to go through this course of sorts. I'm not sure if they're on a CD or a DVD or whatever, but is it called The Templates?
The website is actually called thetemplateorg.com, the template O-R-G.
So if you start to read the first couple of paragraphs about what it's about, I'm still trying to figure it out. It sounds really, really interesting. It kind of seems to put a bunch of things that I'm interested in, all together as far as like energies and meridians and systems of the body.
So, yeah, let me read just a little bit, a couple of sentences of this. It's thetemplateorg.com. And for those of you that haven't heard the show with Allison Adams, let me take a look here. She's a really great person. And she was on episode 302. I'll share the link to that in our chat room. And we talked about Mercury, mystery health conditions that she has been dealing with. She's a biological dentist, and she is the author of a book called Chronic Fatigue, Me and Fibromyalgia, the Natural Recovery Plan, which is really... really great. She's been going back and forth with Kate in some emails, and the types of things that she's saying, she is incredibly switched on, turned on, and knows so much more. I feel like when she was on our show, she only shared about 1% of everything she actually knows, based on the types of things that she's sharing with Kate in her emails. So I just grabbed her actual link to her show. Very fascinating woman, Dr. Allison Adams. I'll share that in the chat room right now. That's episode 302. And so anyway, she shared this website with Kate called thetemplate.org. And let me just read you the first paragraph. It says, excuse me, the template ceremonies. As you embark upon the first foundation ceremony, you are entering upon a journey of healing, forgiveness, remembrance, resurrection, and ultimately transcendence of the dualistic mortal paradigm. To choose this path is to embrace the human as a magnificent masterpiece of immortal design, capable of transcending the limitations of duality and able to access any time or energy level of the universe. The template ceremonies exist to extend to the far horizons of humanity's divine potential, the potential that lies within the soul covenant. The journey is one of liberation and empowerment that takes us into an ancient history of humanity's true origins, there to retrieve our soul's lineage and our celestial seeding, a history that defies the notions of our original sin, guilt, and shame. The template of transcendence tunes you into the programming within yourself that has resulted in codependent and conditional relationships, bringing you out of denial and accelerating your path towards co-creative unconditional love. In this age of mass communication, our deepest fears are mirrored and continually projected into our daily lives by extended media feedback, fed through the human psyche via literature, films, and round-the-clock news, infiltrating our dream states and reinforcing demonic archetypal reference points within the morphogenic field.
Whoa.
How is that? Thus, the consensus fabric of fear-based reality is woven by our very thought processes. Our pathological compliance within this reality can be tracked back to the modification of our genetic coding, the disturbance of our morphic resonance with the solar system, and our resultant inability to translate the full spectrum of light. How do you write this stuff? This is incredible. The rectification of this human and global predicament cannot be achieved by direct action. You cannot affect the fountain of life by disturbing its waters. You must adjust the fountainhead from which it springs. To fight for freedom is to embody the struggle.
It sounds intense. I don't know what to do with that, but all I know is that I'm really fascinated by it. I'm wanting to kind of, I don't know, again, if it's like CDs. I'm trying to figure out how the program works, but doesn't it kind of like, I don't know, does that resonate with you at all? Is that something that you're interested in? Or I just want to understand it more.
Oh, yeah, completely. Yeah, it really does. It says, interesting, in this age of mass communication, our deepest fears are mirrored and continually projected into our daily lives by extensive media feedback fed through the human psyche via literature, films, and round-the-clock news, infiltrating our dream states and reinforcing demonic archetypal reference points with the morphogenic field. So this fear-based reality is woven by our very thought processes. So, man, I mean, if it behooves all of us to just extract ourselves from this whole system that we see being forced on us, like 24-hour news, and it seems like a lot of this gets coupled with the whole fear in the media thing too. Well,
for sure. I feel like when you read that, and I read it earlier, because I haven't dug much more into it, but I know that I really respect Allison. I think she is, I don't know, one of those people that I really hope is in my life for a long time because I'm learning so much from her. And she's so normal. Uh-huh. So for her to send me something like this and say that she had completed this and it was really helpful to her really, really turns me on to it. But I almost feel like when I read that, it painted a picture in my mind of just like someone taking this plug and just pulling it out. Like everything we know gets turned around when you go through something like this. And it's truly like unprogramming, deplugging. Like I feel like it paints the picture of the Matrix movie that we all truly live in to some extent. I don't know. Do you feel like that too? Like,
yeah, it's like that. I think that's a good analogy of pulling the plug like that.
Like we don't even know we're plugged in, but we're getting fed all this stuff, and it's like you don't know the difference until you actually have to like take a drastic measure to pull the plug out. Because I think that I'm a lot more aware, but I'm still plugged in to a large extent.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's like it makes you feel like you have to take some energetic steps to be able to really get what's going on and really be able to, I don't know. I mean, this stuff, it looks kind of crazy. Like you look at some of the pictures on here and stuff, and there's like these template ceremonies and things, but I am fascinated and I am willing to just look into it a little further.
What are the ceremonies? Are they online courses or are they?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
What if you attend them or?
Well, they have pictures here of people attending them and they look really, really cool, but I'm not sure if it's also a course you can do online or if Allison herself has actually attended one. So I still need to write her an email in regards to this, but it involves a lot of sacred geometry and things.
Wow.
This is stuff that fascinates me because I've always felt like you have that there's just a little more going on than we know. And now I feel like there's a heck of a lot more going on than we could ever imagine.
Do you ever feel like what's the barrier point or what's the crossing point or tipping point of stuff that you're interested in where it becomes
weird,
where people would look at you and you're just a freak? You know what I mean? What is that point? Because I mean, each person has a different level of comfortableness that they're able to accept either within themselves or others. Mm-hmm. And I was just going to say, if certain people in your life saw you looking or going to one of these template ceremonies,
oh, they think I lost it.
They think you lost it. But at some point, it's funny because everyone who gets involved with stuff that's really fringe and weird according to society's measures, everyone that gets involved in that believes that they are involved in something that's going to bring them closer to the truth. So they look at everybody else as being so strange for watching TV and all this other stuff and being programmed. And so it's this weird cycle of, at some point, it's like, what? Remember you and I were talking about the people, the Hail Bop people down in San Diego. Mm-hmm. Remember that Marshall Applewhite?
Mm-hmm.
And the
Was that his name?
Yeah.
Wow.
And telling all the cult followers that they were going to get on
comet, the Hail Bop comet,
the Hail Bop comet, and we're talking about that, like, and so everyone says, oh, they're crazy, right? They're completely nuts.
Yeah, the media portrays them as these nutty people who all these Nike shoes. They show these figures covered in sheets, and they all decided that they were going to go up and meet this comet.
Right.
So they say.
But first of all, we don't even know if that is actually true. That media story. I mean, how easy would that be?
Well, I don't know if there's real bodies under there. No one ever saw these victims.
They could just be dummies.
Yeah.
And because they had black pants on and purple shoes or purple thing covered over their sheet covering them. I'm not looking for a conspiracy everywhere, but I'm just not going to believe everything I see on TV.
Well, I always did. I thought, of course, that's like, I mean, until recently, even a couple of years ago, I would believe any photo I saw. If it was a news story or if it was something, of course they wouldn't make that up. Why would they do that?
But if you were to ask any American who knows about that story or someone around the world who knows about that story,
yeah,
they would unanimously, hands down, say that those people were crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which if that really happened, they probably were crazy.
Yeah.
But
right.
Are there things that are just as seemingly crazy as that are actually real? And if those things were real, it's actually more crazy to live in this life than we live now. You know what I mean? Like what if the Hale-Bopp thing is true? Let's say they really did ascend into some comet and they're flying around the universe right now, right?
Then I'm jealous.
I mean, I know, how fun would that be? But just as a thought experiment, just assume that that's true. So it wouldn't be it's not very forthright for us to say they're crazy if that's true, right?
Right.
So
if you look at it from...
At what point do you be okay with the weirdness that you have?
Right.
And not and have people say, like, you know, let's say you did these template ceremonies and everyone in your life was saying, you're crazy, you're nuts, what are you doing? This is stupid. I can't believe you. You used to be this way, now you're a different way, and I'm not used to you like this. And, you know, you're dabbling in all kinds of weird stuff and blah, 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 blah. And then people if they were to talk to each other about you, they'd say, oh, Kate's gone off the deep end. She's crazy. She's nuts. Mm-hmm. But...
Well, I feel like I am getting a little bit of that already, but to a very slight degree.
But are you crazy if what they're saying about you is actually true? If it's really true?
I don't know.
What is that like? So,
but say the template ceremonies do work and it is true. Then they're all the suckers. Like,
who are
the people who are making fun of you or think you've lost it?
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah, they're the ones who are missing out because.
Yeah.
I mean, until they try something or. See it for themselves, or I mean, people. My family would probably think I'm crazy when I've told them that the biggest change in the last month and a half in my life has been taking orchid essences under my tongue.
You told them that?
No, but they would.
Oh yeah.
Like they'd be like, "What, a flower essence? Like basically the essence of an organ, organ of an orchid."
I got you an orchid, baby.
I'm losing it. But I mean,
they would think you're crazy.
Yeah,
right?
because there's power in those, and you know when you go onto the website, you think, okay, flower essence, not that weird. But when you go on and look at what these orchids stand for, the spiritual components of them,
and the energetic, right?
Yeah, trying to balance your chakras. I mean, stuff that like would trip people out.
Right.
And yet it's been so profound. It's been such a profound experience in my life where it's really evened me out to where I don't really have a lot of like, I wasn't very an emotional person before, but like nothing bothers me. I'm okay with like letting things go, and I'm balanced in a way that I haven't felt balanced, I don't think, in my whole life.
You think the
orchid essences.
Really? You think they're helping a lot?
Yeah, and that's just drops under my tongue. Imagine, before that I took something called unicorn. I mean, it was this other essence of an orchid called unicorn.
Wow.
And when you read about what that does, I mean, there's all these crazy things that people could think you've totally lost it, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm sure something like a template ceremony. But you know what? That's the thing. It's like, I have to get over... It might bother me a little bit what my friends and family say about me because I'm conditioned to care what they think about.
Right.
But like, I almost don't care how weird I get and seem to the world out there because
really? Yeah,
it's not personal to me.
Yeah.
Whatever. If people think I'm some weirdo, you know... dancing by the light of the moon and doing crazy things, like, then that's, I mean, not like I do that, but who's not to say I wouldn't? And if I find that I reconnect to nature and my roots that way, why ever say never? And why care what anybody else thinks of you? Like,
right.
I mean, that's easier said than done because I'm not there, but I want to be there so badly that that's something that I've really had to take a better step back and take a look at, and why I don't, and I don't want to not do things based on fear either, you know?
Right.
I would probably do the template things if that's something that I looked into further and it's something I really wanted to do and experience, but I don't think I would tell many people about it.
Because not many people can sort of handle
worth it.
That. Because like we say all the time, people get used to the idea that of you, that's a fake idea they made about you in your head. So in their head, so their story they've told about you, who they think Kate is just a secondary story, obviously, in their journey. But you're this like secondary character in the film, and they're comfortable with who you are. And so once you start changing, they don't like that.
No, they don't like that.
But it's weird.
No, it makes them uncomfortable.
Because like if you get into these types of seemingly weird ways of life, I don't know. I'm just not. I'm not as judgmental as I used to be about people like that. You know, going out to. What's that place out in the desert? The Burning Man, you know?
Burning Man, yeah.
You know, and all these weird things. Who knows? Maybe they're tapped in. These people are tapped into like they're living closer to the source of what life's all about.
Well, that's what I felt like. In my opinion, I feel like that's what went on in that biodome or whatever that thing is called. What was that thing in
biodome
in Texas? Or not biodome.
In Texas,
you know that cult thing. What am I blanking on the name?
Cryogenic chamber?
No. Those people that lived in that, they all got arrested or killed. A huge story. What was that called?
I don't know. Like the story just recently?
No. Years and years and years ago, where these people were living in this kind of Eden scenario that they brought about.
Oh, I don't even know that.
Oh, yes, you do.
No.
Hold on, let me Google this. I'm blanking on the name. It was huge.
Just a few years ago?
No, like 15, 20 years ago. Oh, they came and raided
you're
them.
Doing the same thing I'm doing. Just the other day, something happened, and all of a sudden, no, it was 20 years ago.
What was this thing called? Hold on.
Katana says Waco?
Yes, thank you.
But that wasn't a biodome. Or that was just a big building.
No, you don't remember the pictures of things looking like dome-like and stuff like that? All these white buildings?
In Waco?
Yeah, am I making that up?
I think you're making that up. Or you've seen things I haven't seen, because Waco was just a big, a series of, like, these guys bought a whole ton of land and put all these buildings on it.
Uh-huh.
And the government came in and firebombed them out of there.
Right.
Right.
But weren't they they were making it a full
let's do a little Google search.
Weren't they making it like a full culture? Like they were growing their own foods, they had their own stuff, they were like basically seceding from normal life.
They were. Yeah.
But I swear I saw big giant pictures of domes and things. Not like huge domes, but like white dome shaped things where they were growing food and things like that, and where they went in and rated them.
Turn a monitor and you can see I did a Google image search. Maybe this one right here. Is that the one?
Is that what it looks like? I don't remember it looking like that.
Okay.
No.
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. So
either way, I'm like, maybe those people, we were led to believe they were all crazy, like
exactly.
So the fact that they probably had tapped into freedom and tapped into what they thought America would let them do, and it was proved very wrong. I go, wow, I bet there was, of course they had to be painted bad, because you don't want a bunch of people getting out of control and making their own communities and cities and really being free. Right. There is no freedom. There's ultimately no one's free.
It's sort of like there's no objective reality in terms of people not being able to extricate themselves from some sort of subjective reality.
Ooh.
Like we all have a preconceived notion and a perspective, like a perspective on the hill looking out at the horizon. We all have some sort of perspective. Some people's perspective is higher up and some is lower, and so realizing that, we're all programmed and we're all weird. It's just a matter of what you call weird. David Koresh and all that stuff is called weird by a society that does some of the most weird things you would ever imagine, that is considered to be normal daily life here in America. And so it all just depends on what your perspective is, who's got,
and what your definition of weird and normal are.
Yeah,
that's where it starts.
It's like if everyone jumps off the cliff, you're looked at as weird for not jumping off the cliff, but that's not weird. It's only weird because 99 people are doing it and you're the only one that's not. But that just because the masses do weird things and you do something that's also weird but it's something different, they call you weird, but it's really not.
Tana brought up a really good point in the chat room, which I think is really interesting, though. It is so common, and I agree that people, think you're crazy, and it's like that you tell them something, and they think you're nuts, but then they don't even remember it. It goes over their head, and like 2, 3, 5 years later, they come back to you, and are like, I just found out about that. And you're like, well, yeah, I was telling you about that 5 years ago.
You've had that.
A ton. And Tana's saying that, too, kind of jokingly talking about her husband, but she'll read something or say something to him, and he'll, kind of not really pay attention. And then a while later, he'll come back and try to tell her about it. And she's like, I was just telling you that a couple months before. Like, wow. It's funny how, but that's part of, I think, the personal journey. It's everyone's own journey at the time that they're supposed to find things and come across them. But it's just like, it's almost like a veil is in front of their face and it gets lifted at the right time.
Right.
And obviously we want to help people lift the veil more swiftly and expose them to what maybe the harsh realities and truths are around us, but I don't know.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting because you have people that, for whatever reason, they're not ready to hear things. You know, we've done that where you re-listen to podcasts or you re-listen to shows and something happens where it grabs you. What was it with you recently?
It was, and I put this in my blog about listening to one of the Hay House things. It was that Heather Dane. You guys can read more about it on my blog or listen to my audio blog. But yeah, I mean, I'd listened to it right when the Hay House Summit came out in, what was that, spring?
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it didn't mean anything to me, but I'm listening to it the other day in the sauna, and it's all about, I was having a particularly hard day with kind of beating myself up for self-care and thinking I spent too much time taking care of myself and all this stuff. Well, anyway, I happened upon that one by accident. Well, not by accident, but it was the one that was going when I stepped into the sauna and pressed play, and I looked down and the title was something like Loving Yourself and basically not feeling guilty about it, like how we're supposed to put ourselves first and why it matters.
Wow.
And then I'm in there, and the whole talk is she's basically like reading my life back to me. The certain weird symptoms with the digestion she went through. She had years and years of digestive problems, talking about the high thiol content in food, causing sulfur reactions. I mean, everything that didn't really mean much to me in spring felt like now it had become so personal in a new way, and it was just a timing thing, you know. It was given back to me as the most awesome gift, but it was right there the whole time.
And you've heard that before.
Of course. But I wasn't at that space. I hadn't had a problem with sulfurs or thiols or theols or...
I had the same thing happen with, I think, that same interview where she was talking about digestive fire and a lot of the Ayurvedic principles and how to improve your digestion. And she was saying it's called Agni, and it means digestive fire based on the sun. And the fire of your belly to be able to burn through food is based on the timing of the sun. So this gets into Adam Bergstrom.
Adam would love this, yeah.
Yeah, Adam Bergstrom. He talks all about solar nutrition and when to eat certain foods. But this lady was saying, I've heard this before, but it just hit me in a brand new way, that when the sun is at its peak in the sky, and that's going to be different times, different times of the year, because, the peak sun is going to be at different times. So whenever the sun is at its peak, it's at that time that you want to eat your heaviest meal, because the sun relates to
the fire energy to kind of burn through that faster.
Yeah, your body is creating the most digestive Agni or fire to be able to burn through that food. And the longer you wait after the sun goes down to eat, the more difficult it is going to be to digest that food because of that same very reason.
Interesting.
The digestive fire is going away, so you want to have your heaviest meal like at noon or something like that. And
it makes sense.
But yeah, like what Tana was saying, I mean, I've heard that before, and when Tana or you in the past have told people certain things, it goes right over their head. You think, oh man, like what?
If they'd only listen, like what is their problem?
What's their problem? They're not listening.
This could help them.
And then they come back 6 months later and tell you about this new discovery that you told them all about already.
Yeah.
I think it's just I think it's the timing thing. So they weren't ready to hear it when you told them about it. But then also, too, it's their block they have with you, where they don't feel like they can be taught or learn anything from you, or they don't respect you or whatever. And so they have to hear it from some other source that they supposedly
That happened to
respect.
me this very week then.
Really?
Because you'd been telling me about castor oil packs for, a year or two?
Yeah.
Saying that could really probably help my liver, my gallbladder, my digestion, blah, 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 blah. And I kept going, oh, yeah. And didn't really, I don't know why, but it was one of those things. Like you said, it just kind of went over my head. I thought, I don't know, I don't know if it can help that much. But what happened? I was listening to Heather. So Heather Danes, the thing I was just telling you about, her Hay House podcast. She co-authors a book with this other girl named, how do you say it? Alia Cadro.
Alia Cadro,
I think that's her name. And I went on to listen to hers thinking, wow, these girls have something really great going on. And guess what? The whole last part of the podcast, last night driving home, she talks about castor oil packs and what exactly they do, how to do them, how they really, really help improve a lot of things. And I got home all fired up to do these castor oil packs. And I thought, but I've known this for years. Why now?
Yeah.
I mean, I was just as guilty of it as, not guilty of it, it's just, that was just being human.
I know.
Why that? I could have had, and I started to go into regret land in my head of I could have had 2 years of doing these castor oil packs since Justin told me about it and probably saved myself a lot of major digestive discomfort. and probably brought about some quicker, swifter healing, but I didn't. So what do you do with that? You move forward, and
since everything is energy, it makes sense that like you are exuding or resonating at the frequency, at the counter frequency of this particular vibration, the vibration of doing a castor oil pack. So it's like it comes in complete harmony, and the tune comes together on a guitar. Like it just, when you're tuning strings on a guitar and you're trying to get each string to be the note that it's supposed to be, and you use the string above that to get it there. And it's like you come into that, you resonate, and you are able to accept that information now. It probably wouldn't have done you any good to do that for 2 years.
Would have fallen on deaf ears, kind of thing.
Because you just weren't ready for it.
Interesting.
Really weird, huh?
It's a bummer, though. It's a bummer that we're like that, because...
Well, that's the whole... I think that's one of the biggest points in life is to bring yourself to the point where you're able to accept new knowledge all the time, and being if you're able to.
Well, that's humility, isn't it? That's what I got the hit in the isolation tank the other day. How do you heal? You heal humbly.
Yeah.
You accept new knowledge. You're able to
accept new information, and
not being a know-it-all.
Yeah, something like we're talking about something taboo, like the urine therapy. Like being able to accept that. Some people will hear this conversation and just kind of overlook it. Some people are like, that sounds something like I need to try. I don't know what it is. I'm going to do some research on it, and then I'm going to try this. And so whatever that point is that you're able to accept something like that into your life is where you want to be with everything. So you don't want to have this journey where it takes you 20 years to get to the point where you can accept urine therapy that's ultimately going to heal you. So how do you get to that place now where you're able to resonate and accept everything that comes in?
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you do it? Isolation chambers, meditation, being alone? I don't know.
It probably looks different for everybody.
Yeah.
We're all so unique. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're able to accept that which is going to heal you at any given point in your life, you don't have to go through this whole journey. You can cut out 20 years of your journey and be able to bring that in and have it work for you right then.
I know. The shortcut, if we could all get to that. And that's why we all are listening to this and are on the show, because I feel like if we can expose anyone and ourselves to a shortcut along the way, then we're going to be that much more ahead of the game to live and give back even more and longer, healthier lives.
I agree.
Hey, real quick, I know we got to go and wrap up the show, but I promised that we would talk about our experience with our cabbage juice.
Oh, yeah.
So after last Free For All Friday show, I went out and bought some cabbages, some purple cabbages, because last week's conversation was very interesting about one of our friends in the chat healing themselves a lot through cabbage juice.
Yes.
And I just wanted to touch on, what was your experience with it, if you had any?
Well, I have been doing the cabbage juice, or the juicing of the cabbages in my juice. There were a couple days where we didn't do that because we went to, I don't know why I didn't even think about doing this, where we got a juice somewhere at like a Whole Foods. I don't know why I didn't think for them to put cabbage in it. I just figured
because they usually have the green one.
Oh, do they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But
I have been doing about a quarter of a cabbage because I want to ease into it. So I've been doing about a quarter of a cabbage. I don't feel much different. Maybe I'm not doing enough yet, but I'm slowly getting more and more into it. And I'm wondering if you need to do more lemon if you do cabbage, because that cabbage is really strong.
It's really strong.
Yeah. And I'm only doing a quarter. I think our guest in the chat room from last week, he's here again today, does a whole or half a cabbage or something.
Something crazy.
Yeah. So for those that missed the last Friday show, the reason why we're doing the cabbage is to help build glutamine, L-glutamine in the gut, which is supposed to help repair the villi and the lining, the coating on the inside of your intestines, which prevents leaky gut and inflammation and all kinds of things like that. And
I believe it. I mean, going off of the look of it, when you cut the cabbage open, I mean, it is all twisted and looks like a bunch of intestines. And
it does. Doesn't it?
Really, I really think those foods that represent different body parts and organs are usually really, really good for those specific things. So I tried it.
That's right.
A couple days. I did it less than you because I had the sulfur methylation issue going on.
Yeah, you've had this
thiol thing, so I didn't really want to go full to bore with it. But I the first day I did okay, and I would have known because I didn't do that much. Mm-hmm. Second time I tried a little bit more, and I have to say, I mean, I bloated out to Timbuktu.
Really?
I got really bloated and uncomfortable, and that's the only thing I can think that probably made it worse for me is because I usually don't do cabbage juice. So that was the only thing I'd changed in my juice. I mean, it could have been some other factors of other things I'd eaten that day, but I'm pretty stable in my staples that I eat, you know? Mm-hmm. So that was a bit of a bummer, but I'm also just thinking it might be just a time period. I either need to give it more time and get over it, and it can start helping me, but feeling that uncomfortable at that time wasn't worth it to me, so I haven't done it since because I just think maybe it's a thiol problem or...
Yeah,
but I could be wrong. I don't know.
You did test for that, the thiol, and the sulfur issues.
Yeah.
I suspected that there could be some healing components to it simply because it's not extracted like as a powder. It's a completely natural form of sulfur. So, you know, my guess was that it would be more absorbable, but I think it's just the actual chemical compound of the sulfur itself.
Yeah, no, I was a little bit bummed because I was like, oh, cabbage, you know, and I'm sure I believe it heals. I've heard so many things about cabbage, like
heals ulcers. And,
oh my gosh, I read online a little bit after our last Free for All Friday show, just for about 5 minutes about the cabbage, and I'm a big believer. I can't wait for my body to get back to that point where cabbage makes it happy. But right. I was hoping I could kind of bypass it and that I'd have this miracle cabbage juice.
Yeah.
Because I was so excited to try it. And I'm sure, gosh, anyone else listening, if you don't have problems with sulfur, I mean, I think that's the best thing to add into your juice. I loved the taste of it. Because I love sauerkraut. I love chopped up cabbage. That was my favorite part of eating fish tacos when I used to eat fish tacos more. Oh, man, even just the green cabbage. I love the taste of cabbage.
Yeah.
I love boiled cabbage. I love cabbage with butter. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, cabbage with butter would be good, wouldn't it?
So, but you should keep doing the purple cabbage. We still have them in the fridge. So.
I'm going to. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. And maybe today we'll do another juice. We try to do at least one green juice, big, tall green juice every single day. So that's part of our medicine. But yeah, I'm going to add the cabbage to that. We did that. Did we do it yesterday or the day before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. You did spinach and cabbage, two things that I didn't put into mine.
Okay.
But yeah, keep up the cabbage. And I'm so grateful for the suggestion, and I'm not sorry I tried it, and I'll be doing it again in the future. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's where we stand with that right now. And I have to say, I think we're all just so different. Our bodies just like, I love that the excitement about the cabbage juice works for people, you know, and other people heal themselves through so many different protocols. I love it. I love it. We're all so unique.
There's so many cool things. All right, so we're going to close up the show. What's that?
Maggie's snoring over there.
Oh, she woke up.
We're boring her.
Big puppy yawn on our biomat over there. That's hilarious. Yeah, so, thank you, Tana. Thanks, Jay, for lifting my veil. I don't know, but we try our best to live life with an open mind and to be open to healing, and that's the whole point. I think that's the whole goal, is get yourself to the abilities so that you can accept new information regardless of how closed-minded you are and how closed off you are to it, because like we're talking about before, all disease starts with a closed mind. And so when you hear something like urine therapy, you're immediately averse to it. But, you know, I think the key is, even if you don't try it, even if you're still afraid to try it, I think that just being open and saying, you know what, there just might be something to this whole thing. Let me look into it more. And then, you know, just being open, I think that's where real healing starts. You know?
Just being willing to wiggle a little pinky toe into the pond.
Yeah. So this is our thing for this week. This is our little challenge to all of you. Try a teaspoon of your own urine along with some apple cider vinegar.
Wow. And don't blame us if you hate it.
Yeah, we can't take any, you know, I don't know. It's like a legal thing, but if you sound like you want to do that, that's the challenge, and we'll all do that. And maybe we'll bring it up with Dr. Bergman next Friday.
I think that'd be great. I'd love to know his opinion, because I think that guy knows a lot about most things.
What if he poo-poos it and says it's horrible?
Oh, gosh. Well.
What if he poo-poos your pee-pee?
It's like, oh, you're faster than I am, because I was thinking there has to be a joke in there somewhere. A 5-year-old bathroom humor joke.
5-year-old bathroom humor.
Awesome.
All right. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We really appreciate it. And And for those that don't know, we are down to 2 days a week on Monday and Friday now. Next week is the only week that's going to be different. We have a show on Thursday with Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Woohoo.
Starts at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So make sure to be on the live show call if you can for that, because Dr. Dispenza is awesome. He's going to be talking about his book, You Are the Placebo Effect.
Nice.
Which is amazingly fascinating.
You Are the Placebo Effect. I love it.
Or You Are the Placebo, something like that. So that'll be a great show. So we have next week, we have Monday, Thursday, and Friday. And then after that, for there on after, it'll be Monday and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So join us. And then also on our next Friday show, that's going to be with Dr. Bergman here in studio. That's going to be, I think, at like 11 or 11:30. So we'll have to, I'll make sure to get the updated time on that from him today. I'll call him up and ask him. So don't forget to check that out next Friday. If you come at 9 a.m., we won't be here. It'll be 11 or 11:30. So
we won't be here.
And also, don't forget to check out Kate's audio blog and my audio blog. I'm starting to do an audio blog as well. You can find those at the extremehealthradio.com at the homepage. Scroll down, you'll see our blog post too. So that would be really cool if you guys want to take part of that and listen to the posts that we write. So we appreciate it so much. We have lots of stuff behind the scenes that we're working on, programs and courses and different materials that we're going to be making available here pretty soon. So that's why we're taking some time off from the show. So thank you for that. We really appreciate you sticking with us and being a part of everything we've got going on.
And thanks for everybody who wrote us and got a little sad. Like, that was really nice that people look forward to our 4 days a week, that we feel a little bit bad. But,
I know, we feel bad.
But, this is what has to happen for now. And I'm not saying it's always going to be like this, but it's just what it looks like now. And it was so honoring to hear people miss us, I thought, wow, that's cool. That's the biggest compliment. So.
That's way cool. Yeah, I know. I totally agree. So if you guys could do us a favor, we would love any reviews or ratings in iTunes, and we would greatly appreciate them so, so much. And, it's like I was saying before, as far as attachment goes, it's okay if you forget to do that, to go give us a rating and review on iTunes. We would greatly appreciate it, but I'll still ask you guys if you can do that, because it really does help us a lot in terms of people finding our show and having it become more visible in iTunes so people can find us. So that would be really great and helpful too. And with this time off, we're going to be adding some more products to our store. So if you want to check out our store, you can check that out. We're going to be adding some more stuff on there and making some website tweaks and doing some cool things that I think are going to help you guys a lot. So if you can, pass the show on to your friends on Facebook or any one of our shows on Facebook. We'd appreciate that. Kate is typing blog challenge, calling her name. Can you accept? If not, a bucket of pee. The chat room's going crazy.
Don't even worry about it.
The chat room's going nuts. All right, everybody. So thank you so much. Happy Friday to all of you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. And what else, Kate?
Well, just a reminder, it is equal parts cabbage, celery, and carrots.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the 3 C's, if anyone's interested in healing their guts with cabbage juice. Just to remind people leaving the chat room.
Equal parts?
Thank you. Equal parts.
Okay.
Equal parts celery, carrot, and cabbage.
Okay, I like it.
There you go.
All right.
All right, guys, and have a great day, weekend, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Hey, everybody, this is Josie, Justin's mum. Don't tell him, but I know he would absolutely be really happy if you would sign up to his free weekly newsletter. And don't forget to share this with all your friends. This is the buzzing bumblebee signing off.
That was so good.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
It's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too, that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work